NUFC Early Night News with Gary DeJordy Yum Yum, Andrew Boki, and Derek the Mighty Wind. Weekdays from 7:30 p.m. UK, 1:30 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
Into the discussions had by all of the top brass at the club last night. I mean, obviously, the Mighty Win was one of the selected to go and sit among them. Wasn't quite a black tie event, but I suppose it was as close as you're going to get, Win.
Got all my notes.
He's got his... I'm glad you said notes. My missus just bringing me tabs. Can't fault that. Right then, let's crack on with the housework, and then we'll get on with tonight's show. Hopefully, it's going to be a good one, as always. Welcome to everybody watching across all the platforms. Thanks to all the mods that work in the background. Don't forget, if you would do the one thing out of the three that I'm going to ask you to do, it certainly helps us as a show to get further. Smash that like button. Subscribe. It's totally free. Hit the bell for future content. You will always get that 30 minutes when we go in live. Always live, never edited, remember. If you want to support us, you can become a member for a small monthly fee. That's if you can afford to do so. Don't be a Scrooge. Presents are always welcome. If you've got a question for any of the three in the chat tonight, then obviously put a Q in front of it. Not guaranteed, by the way, so use that $ if you do want to guarantee it. Throw us that Talk TV Super Chats, and that will guarantee that message read out. Anybody that becomes a member during the show, or any of our beautiful members that gift them, will also be thanked. Gentlemen, interesting. Couple of hours, I suppose, from a lot of the discussions that we've been had. I think there's still a hell of a lot of red tape for NUFC to get through. And I'm hoping by the end of play today, we will probably not even scratch the surface.
Our way through it all.
Well, but I wouldn't have thought we'd even scratch the surface, to be fair. There is, like I say, for me, I think the only way this is going to get sorted is if they move out of Newcastle. I think there's far too much red tape and legalities for them to remain in Newcastle if they want to deliver what they've promised. But before we get into all that, and I think, like I say, that's going to be within the confines, majority of the early part of the show. I believe the lads are going to be talking about the Burnley game the weekend coming our way. I just want to try to clear a couple of things up, and the first one being the Ramsdale situation, because I've watched this goal, this overhead kick that many times now. I don't even want to call it an opportunity that they should have ever had. But there was somebody has put something on. I think it's TikTok. And what you get here is the evidence, if you like, of the reasons why Ramsdale didn't get the right purchase on the ball when he punched. And like I say, the only thing you ask when you're managing, coaching, whatever, of your keeper is if you're going to come, claim 100%. There is nothing, there's no gimmies here. There's no half measures. If you come through a body of players, the only thing that you need to be sure of as a keeper is you're going to get purchase on that ball. And if you don't know that, and if you can't guarantee that, stay on your bloody line. Just stay there, and hopefully your defenders in front of you can sort out and get away with the rest. Now, the one thing that I noticed, like I say, there was a couple of things from the delivery of the ball and everything else, and I just couldn't quite get my head round why the ball went directly into the air, because it just didn't make sense for me. I kept looking at the punch, and again, camera angles just wasn't great. And then I saw this, and I'm like, there's my answer. So here we go. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a tie. You can see there you've got the mighty Dan Burn, Ilanga, Joe Linton in the front there, all the boys facing the ball, exactly what you're asking them to do. But if I play this I'll try and play it slowly if I can, and I'll stop it. So again, still at this present moment in time, you can see the ball's being delivered. Joe Linton and Bruno now are both looking beyond them because the ball is coming past that area. Alanga Burn, and I don't know who that is just beyond that, are all contesting for this ball. And in a minute, you're going to see Ramsdale show his face. Here he goes. So straight away now, the one thing I want you to point out and have a really close look at is Dan Burn. So Dan Burn, 6'7". He's going to be the one that's going to be the one contesting this ball at its height. And like I say, I'm not sure whether that's Richarlison in front of him. I don't know. But you can see Ramsdale now coming on. What I do want you to see is just as the ball is coming down towards Dan Burn and Ramsdale, is you get a little bit of a half turn, which is coming together between Dan Burn and Richarlison. Dan Burn's in the air, don't forget. Richarlison's going backwards. So once you're off the floor, momentum shifts during a collision. What I didn't ever realise was the fact that just as he gets there, and I'm going to go back just slightly, as you can see here, he's virtually turned a quarter of a degree here, all the way around. So he's virtually facing Ramsdale coming towards him. But just as Ramsdale goes to punch it, Dan Burn has a slight deflection on this ball. Just watch it. Did you see that?
Didn't even see the ball.
Just bounces off the top of his head.
Right.
Can you see it?
No,
what do you mean? Can you not see the ball?
No.
Oh, is that because you guys can't see it because of all the...
I can see the ball. It's just very, very quick win.
Yeah. So what you get is the ball comes down and it goes off the top of Dan Burn's head and then it gets punched. That's why it goes so high in the air. So for me, again, I couldn't quite work it out because if you're punching the ball that way, direct, it's very difficult to get that type of height on a ball when it comes off the top of your knuckles. It's virtually impossible to get that amount of height on the ball. And I kept on thinking to myself, there has to be something else that's happened during that moment for the ball to have been projected so high. And that's exactly what happened. It was more the fact that it was that slight deflection off Dan Burn's head. As he punches, it's then got that bouncy motion to go up in the air. That still doesn't.
So in other words, what you're saying there is that had Ramsdale not come out and punched it, because of the trajectory of the ball, it would have bounced off Burns' head and continued.
Well, no, because it was a glancing. If you think, I mean, by what I've watched here, it looks like Dan Burn is at his maximum height. And it's a glancing, more of a rather than a header away. It's like just a touch on, but that touch on is enough to change the direction of the ball as he punches. So what you get is like a double hit, if you like, and just when a keeper's watching it coming down and he's going to punch through the circumference of the ball to what he believes. You mentioned yesterday the ball is coming at pace and everything else. It's very difficult for a keeper to come out and time 100% perfect all of the time. But it still didn't make sense for me, the trajectory of the ball. It still did not make sense. And the more I watched it, I kept on saying, I want a camera angle that's, a close-up of that moment. And this is the one that I found that actually gives me a little bit more of a conclusive evidence of the reasons why Ramsdale hit the ball in the air rather than distance out. But again, for me... There's far too. There's still a lot to be done.
That's the reason that he didn't get more distance on the ball, and that it only went the 8 yards that it did.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If I can go like this through, you'll probably see more as I come down. Look, Yarwin. So as you can see now, well, the ball ain't even in view yet, dude. That's what I'm saying. The ball isn't even there, and it's very, very slight on this deflection.
Because the one I saw before looked as though the ball hit Richarlison's.
Yeah, just coming down now. Look, here's the ball win. Can you see it now?
No.
Is it not
Play
on
the
your
next
screen?
slide.
Oh, it's on. I'll tell you what, let me see if I can make this a wee bit smaller. Oh, it's not going to happen to me, is it? Because of where
If
we
you
are.
play it on, you can see it, Gary, just about.
And what you get, like I say, I'm knackered in my own unit up here. So here, look,
There.
Win. Yeah? So just on the top of Dan Burns' head, it's just above his glove there. You can't see it because of all the Christmas.
I can just see the curvature of it there now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is it. So it glances off Dan Burns' head just as he punches through the ball. So what you get there is literally a double whammy, if you like, a double impact, and that's why the ball goes into the air rather than distance out of the box. And like I say, you look at all of the situation. You have to be situational awareness and everything else. And for me, it was a case of I couldn't understand why the ball went the way it did. That still doesn't affect, or for me, give a purpose or a reason for them to actually go ahead and score. And if I can continue, like I say, I'm going to take this a bit further down now because, like I say, you don't need to know any of this apart from what you see. There's definitely coming together. But you look.
Now it's up in the air, and this is it. This is when it's coming down.
Yeah, this is when it's coming down. Look how long it takes for this ball to come down. And then you look at where he kicks through the ball. So it's literally here, off his shin, just below his knee. He doesn't even get full contact on it. And then you get this like emotion come through here where you get a little bit of a flick fit from Malik Chow. He's got his feet together here, look, which seems a bit strange to me because where's the balance in that one? So he needed literally just to get his foot out the way a yard, and that would literally have just got his foot on the ball where he was able to clear it. But because he's close feet, he's got his studs, it's like he's stuck into the turf there with his studs. And again, I don't know whether he's expected it to be in the air and he's brought his feet together to try and get some leverage to get, height on himself, thinking that the overhead kick is going to come aerially rather than a grub hunter along the floor. Again, stuck in two minds. But again, it goes through him because, like I say, he can't adjust his feet. Then it goes through, obviously, to the side of Dan Burn. And like I say, you've got two players here that are being marked. Like I say, poor J7, he's got two players that could, even if Ramsdale had saved it, I think would have had a tap in anyway, by which time Ramsdale's momentum is far on the left-hand side. He's never going to recover. But I just wanted to try and get some clarity on the reasons why that ball went the way it did and not with the distance that it was. Like I say, it's took me a while, but we've got there.
My issue was the fact that when he got the punch that went, as you say, it seemed to be in the air for an age.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And if so Newcastle players can see that as well. Why weren't they? You saw Langer in screen there. Why wasn't he, making every effort in the world to get to that ball when it didn't land, obviously, but when it was coming down, instead of just standing and watching. But again,
that's the
all of this, this happens. We're saying it happens in slow motion, but in real time, it's just come over. It's been punched. It's coming down. This is it. It's fine margins.
It is, Win. But the way I look at this is the fact that you get pretty players and you get players that will run through brick walls for you. And unfortunately, the player that was closest to the event at the time was more of a pretty player. Didn't want to hurt, rough up his hairdo or whatever. Get his head scarf off. I don't know what it was, mate. You call it what it is, mate. But at that level, these small margins finish you in the top 4 or 5, and it's the small margins and the individual errors that we saw there that get you out of the top 4 or 5, and that's going to be part of the discussion going forward. You know what I mean? Well, we could have been 7th if we'd have won that game, and like I said, that's the small margins, and that's what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The other part of the contentious issue was the penalty. So this is, again, there's been a lot of scrutiny about referees now having a voice on the field of play. Sean Dyche has now come out and said he doesn't like the fact that these referees now talk to the crowd because there's not a place in football for this to happen. I mean, to be fair, I thought this automated VAR and things like that for the offside rule would have made the game a lot quicker and decisions a lot quicker. For me, it hasn't changed. There's still a lot. But this is the Ref Watch, and this is what they have to say about the events happening during this game.
I can't hear anything, Gary.
There's no sound?
No.
Okay. Bear with me a second then, because I knew what the problem is.
I think just going back to the goal quickly, it was just a comedy of errors, really, wasn't it? I mean, we can analyse it till the cows come home. It was really just a comedy of errors from our players. I just wanted to, for me, when you were
trying to work out why the ball had taken the trajectory
it did. Yeah, I couldn't understand that. And that's all it was. It's like I said, because there's a lot of people still blaming Ramsdale for it. And then I'm thinking, there's got to be a reason for, like I say,
it doesn't alter the very thing that you started the discussion with, which was if a keeper's going to come for the ball, he's got to get it. And he's got to get it in the middle, and et cetera, et cetera.
And if he hasn't got the ball properly, he needs to take everybody out. Basically, he's the top.
Exactly, which is actually what he did last week, or this whatever day it was, when he just got Barnes and shoved him out the road. It turned out that nearly got a penalty with it coming off Barnes' hand, but that was because I thought Ramsdale had got a punch to it. But it was because he cleared Barnes out the way and inadvertently into the road of the ball.
As I say, that was one that you can talk to the cows come home, can't you? But it's happened, and we can see what the errors were.
You can, and to me, if we're going to be this superstar club, which is being projected now, these are the things that you have to put right first to get yourself in the higher grounds before you start competing commercially with the big boys, and I think that is something that we all need to have a look at as well. So let's carry on with this one, just so we can clear that game against Tottenham about was it a penalty, wasn't it a penalty? Apologies for the start, I just hadn't clicked a button.
What did you make of this one?
I think it raised a number of issues, Hannah. If you can run what happened before, just before that corner was taken, Thomas Bramwell actually went to the two players and he said to Bentancur, you're facing the wrong way. He's actually told them. You see him tell him. Now, if I was that referee, when I go back to my position, that's who I'll be focused on. I'll be focused on them two players. So working on that basis, I'm focused on them two players. The one thing I will say that the clubs were warned about, if the player's not facing the ball, which he never is, there's no doubt about this, he's never facing the ball, he runs a risk of giving a penalty away. The referee focused on them players. You have to think that because he's made that decision. So you would think he's seen that. He thinks it's not a penalty. The next question is, the VAR looks, is it a clear and obvious error? Well, they're grappling. What you'd say, in fairness, he's not looking at the ball. But they're both grappling. The referee clears it, the VAR says no. The referee goes to the screen and he sees something on the screen he didn't see in the match. And that's the mystery to me, why A, he identifies that, and then B, then ignores it.
So Jay, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, when I initially saw this, I was like, could be a bit soft. But the more I see it, the more I agree with Dermot. It is definitely a penalty. I think when you're not facing the ball,
which he never is.
Which he never is, really.
And he was warned about as well.
Exactly. But let me just, in context, when you learn how to play football, you learn how to mark. If the ball is coming from this direction, you are like this. Your body, your shoulders are open. So you can see, you can feel, and you can glance at the same time like that. What's happened is, Dan Burns initially tried to run there, but then he's there, right? And then Dan Burns ducked around the other side. That's when he's turned now, because he knows he's in a bad position, and he's trying to block him. That's one thing. That's why I feel like he's given the penalty. But then also, I would say, playing the game, Bentancur is not one of the best defenders and not one of the best in the air. Danso's playing. Romero's playing. Why are they not marking Dan Burn? Dan Burn's 6'7". So in my mind, the only reason why Bentancur could be asked to mark Dan Burn would be to block him, to stop him getting to the ball. Because if you're going to put a ball up and say, right, you two are going to have a duel to go and win the ball, Dan Burn's going to win it all day. So his instructions here is, listen, I don't expect you to mark him and beat him in the air, but put him off. Don't let him have a clear run of the ball. Again, the players know the rules at the beginning of the year. And to be perfectly honest, I've said to you, Dermot, like, I don't think referees should even warn players. Let it play out. If you're going to hold and try and get away with an incident that you know is breaking the rules, that's up to you. But that is definitely a penalty.
Do you think that was a...
Right, I'm going to stop it there because he just goes on and he reiterates exactly everything else that we've already
what
said.
I did when that happened, because if you remember at the time that the ball got cleared, but I could see the Newcastle players appealing for it. I hadn't seen that.
Right.
But I could see the Newcastle players appealing for it. So I quickly ran downstairs, watched the replay that they were shown by then, not the VAR replay, but just the ordinary replay on the telly in the Congos. And when I saw that, I said, "Oh my God, that's a penalty all day." And I went up the stairs expecting that by that time it would have been given, and it hadn't been. So I'm saying, it's a penalty all day. He's got two arms around him. He's pointing the wrong way. It's a penalty. So, and I thought it had been over. I thought he hadn't been given the penalty.
Well, it was a difficult one because, as you've just seen there, it was as if he'd spoken to them prior to the corner being being taken, and he'd explained to them. I mean, again, as they say, all the teams have been explained to that this type of thing has got to stop. But how many times do we see this?
Well, this is the thing, you see. If you listen to all the commentators on that incident from Tuesday night, they said, if that's a penalty, there should be a penalty given at every corner because it happens at every corner. And I say, damn right there should. Because if penalties were given when they should be given, it would stop.
Got you.
Just a quick one.
And that's the one good thing to come out of that now. I hope that we'll see less of it.
I'm saying, did we show was as super chat?
No, I was going to ask you to do that.
Nah, Gary, it's still underneath him. He's talking about Burnham, Ramsdale, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's what I said. I mean, even with Dan Burn's height, if you look at where Ramsdale's arms just literally getting to the point of the ball. And that's what I said.
And he's actually impeding Burn's jump if you see his hand on his shoulder.
Well, like I said, when you see Dan Burn being rotated round,
he's using Burn's shoulder for leverage to get his good hand to the ball.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, when you look at it for what it is, there's a number of questions. Dan Burn being half turned, because he's in the air, he's being pulled. If you like, Richarlison's pushing back, so that turns him round on the half turn. So again, even if he gets a decent head on the ball, you have to ask yourself, where's the ball going? Because, like I say, he's not in any control of winning the header anyway. So, like I said, there's a number of issues.
All I was saying about the momentum of the ball was if the ball was coming up and it bounces off the top of Dan's head. You said it at just a glance, but nonetheless, he's 6'7" and he's in the air. So the momentum naturally is going to take it further than it would normally land. So he's kind of done his job then.
But that's what I said. I mean, it didn't make sense with the height that he got on the punch, and that's what I couldn't get my head round. It doesn't matter how many times you punch through you punch through a ball, you don't get that much height unless you go and obviously you punch up. And every time I saw the replay of that goal, he was punching through the ball, and that's why I said I couldn't work out why the ball went so high at the time, and it's because it's double impact. You know, it's come off the top of Dan Burns' head, which has changed the trajectory, and then you get a full fist on it, which just takes it into the air. But again, like I say, there's far too many rungs after the event to make it right, if that makes any sense. So, like I say, I'm not going to point the finger at any one particular. I just think there could have been a number of them that could have done a little bit better.
Small margins.
Indeed. Let's take on a little bit more news because I don't know whether you guys are aware that Wissa had taken a bit of a wage concession.
And do you believe that? I read that. Do you honestly believe that?
Well, I mean, again, you know, this is what Ben Jacobs is stating, right? Johan Wissa made a wage concession to join Newcastle and waived his Brentford bonus. It allowed a 2-hour meeting with Matthew Benham. Wissa now fit after a knee injury and could make the squad for Burnley. Why now? That's what I can't understand. Why has this all of a sudden been, you know, part and parcel of a conversation that happened in the summer, a transfer that happened in the summer? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, it's like, oh, let's give him a pat on the back and try and get him into this squad, like singing and dancing all from the hymn sheets. Doesn't make any sense for me, that one, if I'm honest. Go on,
Wissa's new contract allegedly is 140 grand a week with 35,000 in bonuses. There's no way was he on more than 100 grand a week at Brentford.
Wissa was holding all the cards, though, wasn't he, as well? Because, I mean, it was a last-minute deal.
Yeah.
Newcastle had to force through. So you would think that he wouldn't have held out on wages. A concession could mean he wanted 150 and took 140. You know,
exactly. That would make more sense to me, certainly. I don't think there's any way on God's green earth that Wissa was on 140k plus 35k a week bonus at Brentford.
No.
There's an American in the chat there making a good point. Is it potentially because Wissa's going to play at the weekend that this story's coming out now?
So that's what I'm saying.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It literally is just a case of, you know, giving him a pat on the back and getting all the fans around him to say, "Oh, well done, lad! Come on, you know, let's get one in for the Toon," because that's what it seems like to me. Right then, let's get into the main event of this evening, ladies and gentlemen, which is obviously Newcastle are going to be one of the big ones.
Number one in the world. Where have we heard that before?
Straight after this.
You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube, and on every online radio directory. NUFC Talk, the voice of the Toon Army.
I'm nearly programmed to going, hey.
Right then, let's set the scene. All right, because we need to do this, don't we? We need to set a scene. Newcastle United CEO David Hopkinson hasn't come in quietly. He hasn't openly said he wants Newcastle to be in the debate for the biggest club in the world by 2030. Not bigger than Villa, not back in the Champions League, but top of world football. A huge statement. How the question is, how are we going to do this? What does Newcastle actually need to do over the next 4 to 5 years to make that ambition real rather than just a soundbite? Gentlemen, I'm going to come to you first because when we heard the news, what did you feel? How did you react to the news? Andy, I want to come to you first.
It's a big statement to make, isn't it, from a guy who hasn't been here that long. He obviously sees something in the club that he thinks we can't get there. He's nobody's mug. He's not going to come out and say things that he doesn't believe he can achieve. And he has done it at other places. He has sort of built up revenues and things like that. It's obviously, it's funny how he's beginning, I know we'll discuss it a little bit later, but he's beginning to compartmentalised areas of play as well. He doesn't seem to be talking about the whole project. He's splitting it up into different little sections, which I think makes sense, especially rather than trying to do everything together. He's sort of saying this is the focus, and we'll still be looking at this, but some things are going to take longer, some things are going to get done pretty quick, but the main focus is the football inside and to get up there by 2030.
Win.
The two out of all of the which will come into all the stuff he's been talking about, the two big things that I took out of it was his own words, his own statement that revenue, which is exactly the same as Darren Neal said, by the way, revenue is what gets you points in the Premier League. That if you ain't got the revenue, you can forget it. But the biggest thing that I took from it was the fact that he said he has never known any other owners who have as much personal investment in the project. That he was specific in saying that the PIF still regard Newcastle as their number one priority.
Yeah, because I mean, you questioned it on a number of occasions, haven't you?
Brilliant. If that's true, let's hope it is. That is music to my ears. So,
but let's be honest with that. He's never going to come out and say PIF aren't interested in this anymore.
Well, he's not. But
you know what I mean?
He didn't need to specifically say that because obviously that then reflects on if he's saying that and it's not true, it reflects on all of the other enterprises. Hang on a minute, why are you prioritising Newcastle United and not us? And any one of the millions of businesses that they've got. So the fact that he, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have made that statement without their blessing. The fact that he's made the statement, that kind of means an awful lot to me, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think sometimes, you can look at,
because I've had my doubts lately, as we've said many times.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I said. I mean, you in the past has been the one that was worried about them not having all the fingers in the pie, if you like, and having interests elsewhere in sport, especially with the FIFA World Cup being held in Saudi in 34. So it is going to be an interesting one. I mean, we talk over. I mean, I'm just going to put Manchester United's prospect, if you like, this circus, 90,000 capacity, funded by the government, or part funded by the government. And then obviously somewhere closer to myself, which is this one, which is Birmingham City's new dream, if you like, with the interest towards the Industrial Revolution, with the chimneys and everything else. I'm sure Fred Dinage will be turning his grave when he sees these small little outlets that he's got going on here. I mean, 65,000 capacity for a championship club, and like I say, we're still quibbling over how many would it require for us to become the biggest club in the world, because that's the words that he's used.
Number one.
When you look at some of the clubs out there, there is a hell of a lot of clubs that are well in front of us when it comes to, obviously, capacity, over 100,000. Now, for me, you're certainly not going to get that type of footprint. And again, I don't know whether you guys have watched Eddie's new video He's going deep diving again into the Leazes Park situation and the footprint, if you like, the blueprint of a stadium. And he rubbishes a lot of these 3D models that are out there at the moment, because what they've done is literally just took the circumference of St James's Park and put it to the side of the lake. But that's still a 52,000 capacity stadium. That's not a bigger stadium. It's just utilising the footprint of St James's Park and moving it to the left-hand side of the lake on the Victorian Promenade, where the statues are and the bandstand. So for us to utilise Leazes Park, which is something like 43, 44 acres, one of the smallest clubs. I mean, you look at the Etihad, it doesn't house that many, but because of the footprint of the stadium, that sits on around 45 acres. So Leazes Park in its entirety would have had to be used or utilised if Newcastle were to utilise the city centre as their home for this new development. And that's what I'm saying. There's far too much red tape for me if that was to go ahead now. And I mean, I know Wynne has constantly said, give them an ultimatum. Tell them we're going elsewhere. I just think if they're going to be, and these are the words that he used, biggest club in the world, he's going to have to move out the city anyway, because there's just not enough Greenland.
They have to move out the city, or they need to speak to the councils of the city and say, look, we're going to move out the city, but think of how much revenues are going to lose, and then make the choice of whether they want to let we have Leazes Park with a little bit of St James's Park as well. So you build a stadium sort of while St James's Park is open, but then have to start deconstructing St James as well. It's getting done. Or the other option always is that the listed buildings, they come to an agreement over them. And stay at St James's Park, but increase the size of that.
Of the East Stand,
Of the East Stand. Did we do Warren's other super chat as well? Both forwards were last minute deals. We had little.
Yeah, but I've just checked, by the way. Wissa was on 25 grand. 25 grand a week. He was. You're not telling me he's taking the cut to come here.
Yeah, he just hasn't taken his bonuses because he's had his bonus.
Saying, he's done his audit and overlaid his plans. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Superb. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's revenue then, because you mentioned revenue, Wynne. The foundations of everything, as you said. If Newcastle want to act like a super club, they need super club revenue. Current problems then. They're still far behind the likes of Real Madrid, Liverpool, Man City, Bayern, and even Spurs commercially, who, to be fair, look all over the place at the minute on the field of play. So what Newcastle must do, in your eyes, what is your where do you think Newcastle need to be looking then to increase revenue to get more out of the current situation?
Can I just add to this one quickly before Wynne answers, because he'll probably incorporate this into his answer. Also, he says that we could get, if I've read it right, that we could get sponsorship from tomorrow for the training ground and the shirts and the training shirts. My question is, why don't we?
Yeah, why haven't we? Yeah, exactly.
That's my question. Why haven't we? And I've always kind of backed PIF and said the reason we haven't is because any deal we can do now with the current associated party transactions, the APT rules, prevent us getting sponsorship to as much as, let's say, PIF would like to put in. So my argument and my soul-saving grace for PIF has been they are waiting for the Man City case to be finally decided. And if that gets kicked into touch as being unlawful, then we can get, Aramco can come in and say £100 million for this, and Arab Telecom can come in and say X for that.
Yeah.
which will not be able to do under the current rules.
No, you're right.
Right now, we cannot argue that our brand is worth more than whatever, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, da-di-da-di-da.
No,
Whereas
I agree with you, because like I say, you're right in saying last night you said, we've done 2 in 4 years in the Champions League. That's nothing compared to what the others have done around us. If you look at it respectfully, we are literally just at the starting gate, aren't we? For trying to get that global interest, if you like, and you're absolutely bang on by saying that, we are starting to be effective when it comes to on the field of play to open or make ajar some of these decisions. And again, for me, I've written down a couple of bullet points: secure higher value sponsorship across front of shirt, training wear, regional markets, leverage Hopkinson's Real Madrid and US sports connections to bring a global partner, build a bigger global fan base, especially in the Middle East, India, North America, Southeast Asia. Expand digital content, Netflix-style documentaries, et al. Type of thing. Behind-the-scenes access, global streaming partnerships. Why does it matter? Because for me, more revenue equals more spending money, more elite recruitment, more trophies, bigger global appeal. The revenue is the engine, as you've always said, Win, that powers the whole project.
What I saying?
Go on.
The compromise. I think he's saying compromises land improvements elsewhere. Sorry, no, he's not saying there's compromises. We can improve land elsewhere. So you could, for example, turn a brownfield site somewhere within the Newcastle boundary. Let's say down by the river or walker, biker, turn a brownfield site there into a green area.
Yeah. Because we know whatever if it does happen on Leazy's Park, you've got to give back plus 10%. But it's the biodiversity which everybody seems to forget when it comes to taking over.
A couple of newts and a couple of frogs.
Yeah, a couple of bats in the area, mate. If somebody's seen a lesser spotted frog, that is it.
There's a pipistrelle.
There you go. Yeah, you can't take that bush down anymore. So yeah, I can understand what he's trying to do, and I can understand him trying to get the right words and the right phrases and all the jargon that comes with it, because what he needs to gather momentum now is other people to take this on board. It can't just be a solo project. It has to have the right people around him, and I think that's the reasons why, as we've seen before, this strategy expert, he wants to come on board so he then can concentrate more on maybe the commercial output. You know what I mean? Things like that. He's trying to get other people, other pieces of the jigsaw sorted behind the scenes to expand internally, which should then have that knock-on effect externally. So let's look at
it's being able to sell with the sponsorship, especially. It's being able to sell what we could be, not what we are at the minute. So get a big deal and say the reason that they're paying for that big deal is simply down to the fact this club's going places. Yeah, and the potential is there that this sponsorship's going to be a great deal for us as well as the club.
Yeah, of course. You've also got to look at the infrastructure. Build a world-class home, because that for me now, and this is why I said, with all the events that are happening at St James's Park over the next few years, if he's looking at this global recognition sooner rather than later, because again, I'm only taking the words what I want to be, this super club. If he wants it sooner rather than later, are we not missing another opportunity by not taking the club elsewhere and starting this build wherever it is? Because by the time 2030 comes, you're talking another 5-6 years before completion, if it is going to be the project. Hopkinson has already hinted at that truth.
The only thing I would say about that is that, as we know, right now, bums on seats, stadium revenue is important. Arsenal, Tottenham are taking like $1.5 million per match,
Yeah.
which is dwarfs what we take on a match day. But in the greater realm, so you're talking there, let's say 40 million, 60 million. I think Arsenal's figures were 60 million for the season. Stadium revenue for the season was 60 million. But even that is dwarfed compared to the TV revenue and the Premier League money per se. So there could be the argument, we don't necessarily need to take that step now, because that's you're talking, as I've said, probably $1.5 billion to do what they would want to do. Even if they get Leazes Park, you're talking $1.5 billion. So
Yeah.
You argue from a business point of view. You argue we're spending $1.5 billion on the state. Now you are going to get additional revenue from. The beauty about that is that you get more than just match day revenue. Newcastle's revenue, stadium revenue, right now is virtually, Newcastle home games. They have the odd concert, and they have events through the week at the stadium and the corporate, and the suites and things. The odd one, Christmas time, of course, they're dead busy. But not what it could be if it was a state-of-the-art, super modern stadium where you could attract all that, it could become the venue of the North for every major, including boxing, wrestling, you name it.
Yeah.
NFL, everything that goes along with that. So whilst we are at St James's Park, we're not going to get that.
No, exactly. And you've got to think of the way the concourses are developed and everything else, because a lot of these big stadiums now, as you said, you go to America, and even though you can get to the ground 3-4 hours before a kickoff.
I was going to say, you go for the day.
You go for the day, exactly, because it's,
exactly.
Of all the eateries, the shops and everything else, you can make it a day. And it's an enjoyable event because, like I say, it's a shopping mall. It's it's everything that you want to include in your day, if you like. Plenty of pub grub, as they say. But again, you look at the Americas. I mean, there's a lot of the American stadiums that are over 100,000. And we saw during the when Newcastle were in America, when they went to Atlanta, what a fantastic stadium that is. And that is deemed to be one of the smallest, isn't it, Atlanta?
No,
it's not one of the it's not one of the super stadiums, if you like. So what they're looking at doing is a state-of-the-art training ground. Top players judge that apparently instantly. So if you're looking at bringing world-class players in, the first thing they look at is your infrastructure, is what am I going to be training with and at on a daily basis. A stadium that can either be expanded or eventually replaced, depending on feasibility. We've gone through that. They can't hit the world's biggest club status without dated facilities. Again, that's the problem with St James's Park. Is there an ability or a way of fashioning a redevelopment without spoiling the ground? Because I think, sometimes we saw what happened to Spurs' ground. That was virtually wiped clear, wasn't it? Even though it's on the same blueprint, if you like. It's a brand new development built on that space. And it took a lot to do. And like I say, a lot of money was being loaned, and again, I believe they're still paying a lot of that money back. So, when you think about that status, no more space for 5,000 to 10,000 more fans. Are you going to get the payment back? And I know Ginger Hoskins is saying about the finances, what fans would have to pay for this new fancy stadium and development. But it doesn't matter where you go. That you've got to take that into consideration as well. Northeast isn't financially well off. We know that. What we've got to be careful of is not outpricing ourselves. Maybe the biggest, maybe the best, maybe the brightest. But if it's empty, what is the point?
Let's face it. I mean, James's Park over the last 35 years has changed, hasn't it? It's not like it's the same stadium it was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So, we've got this love for St. James's Park, which is quite right. It is our home, but it has developed over the years. And if you need to develop further and have to move somewhere else, then I think that's part of the development of the club. So I don't think it necessarily has to be looked at as a negative thing if we're moving. It'd be sad to leave St. James's Park, really sad. But if it's for the better of the club and it's for the best thing that we can do money-wise, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen Waz's new one? It's quite a funny one. Oh, Wazza.
Surprised Lisa's lake has not been soaked up with all the bread that's chucked in it. I'd have a lake in Benwell any day for the great unwashed. Joking.
Bless you. Thanks, Wazza. I mean, we've been, I suppose, at times maybe overcritical, if you like, because we've always questioned what's happening with PIF behind the scenes. And for me, the biggest thing that needs doing, and I know they're constantly upgrading it, is the training ground. And I know there's new works there at the minute being developed, but they've got to complete that training ground upgrade. That's one thing that has to be done because it's being worked on now for a period of time. Decide that long-term stadium solution and begin the multi-year process. Because again, none of this information and none of this work is going to happen in a couple of years. It's got to be the right thing, the right process, the right workings. And that is what Hopkinson was saying, wasn't it? When he was like more or less saying, we've got to make sure, we not to run, we've got to make sure that we cover every part as we go down this lane and get it right from the very start rather than running past, 2 or 3 elements, then being held back because we hadn't quite approached the right thing at the right time in the right way.
Listen, it's taken me 5 minutes to find this. But, you showed the Arabian tent for Man United and you showed the industrial chimneys for Birmingham City's new stadium. This is my dream.
Oh, yes.
That's the castle on the hill. Knock everything down and build that with hotels and all the turrets and you name it. Wouldn't that be far? That's the best imagination I've ever seen. That, I loved it.
Yeah, it's the cannons out the turrets. That's what you want. Just as they're coming out, like to the sound of AC/DC. I'm sure Chris would love that. These designs we know, these guys don't do anything by halves when it comes out. But, for me, the one thing, and I suppose what we must touch on is what Ross Wilson is starting to look at now as well. So we look at with all of this, for me now, the key element, if you like, because success has to start on the green grass. It doesn't start from a plan. It doesn't start from anything else. It has to start from player activity. So, you look at that squad development, that elite talent in every position. Being the biggest in the world is ultimately decided on the pitch. Hopkinson's vision only works if Newcastle assemble a spine of elite level players, a squad depth of Champions League and domestic success. So what Newcastle must do, sign 2 or 3 world-class statement players over the next few windows, maintain a balanced wage structure to remain compliant with cost rules, build depth so they're not derailed by injuries, a problem in recent seasons we've seen, even this season. Improve the academy, and I think that is a must. Produce players who save money and fit the club's DNA. It's the hybrid policy, the attract the stars to lift the ceiling. And I think what we need to start looking at now, and I believe Ross Wilson's already gone down the Brighton-esque, if you like, mould now, because is looking at players of 23 to 25 as being the mainstay, the main age group within the team. And I think that is the way to go forward. I mean, obviously, we're going to have younger players in the squad, but I think if you can aim for a field of players between the age group of 23 and 25, not only have you got longevity, your risk of injuries minimised, price for sales should increase because they've got age with them. So a lot of this has to be identified, if you like, and dealt with going forward. And I think, like I say, I mentioned a couple of shows ago where we talked about the 2-year contract hitch, because that is when you can still get some money back. When it comes after that, you get nothing. And when you get players as we have get long in the tooth, then you also get nothing because they're too old. So we have to be very careful on what we do structurally now regarding that squad going forward.
But the thing about the academy is, yes, everyone is agreed our academy is light years behind everyone else's and needs to be improved. But it also needs to be recognised that doing that will not see immediate returns. You're bringing kids in at 8, 10, 12, 14. We're not going to see the benefits of that for possibly 10, even 15 years.
No.
But Win will never see the benefits of that unless we get a manager in who's willing to give the kids a chance. So if we're going to start doing this, which I completely agree we should do. This isn't slagging Eddie Howe off. I'm not using Eddie Howe as having to go about Eddie Howe here. But what I am saying is that if we're going to go down this route of bringing 22, 23, 24-year-old players in, you've got to then start putting them into the first team squad, not bringing them in to then loan them out.
If we're paying significant money for them, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, he's never had a problem with doing that.
And we need to look in different leagues as well. I could say...
Well, he's never had a problem with doing that.
Well, he has. Which players are we signed from outside of Europe?
Bruno, Botman, Isaac?
No. From outside of Europe, playing.
Outside Europe? No. Definitely not outside Europe.
So, you need, if you're going to do this, you need to look at different markets and be willing to give the people...
I mean, to me, everybody's on about South America now. To me, if I was had a player recruitment at any club, I'd be looking to Africa. That's the place where they're coming out the trees, man. Just look at the population of South America is like 1/10 of the population of Africa, and Africa now, good on FIFA for having spread that cash that and greased a few palms here, there, and everywhere. But grassroots football has ballooned in the last decade in Africa, and that's why we see in the Premier League now the number of African players in the Premier League now. I mean, I can remember when Bolton Wanderers signed, I can't even think of his name now, the winger. Dear me, shame on you, Derek.
You got my syndrome, mate.
But our book, help us out. It was Brian. I'm sure it was Brian. Help us out in the chat. In the chat, you know who I mean. Who was the first big African superstar?
Okocha.
It's something like that.
Well done, Christine. See, she got it right. JJ Okocha.
Okocha, that's him. Yeah, that's the one. JJ. I'm saying I had Brian stuck in my head, so I couldn't get it out. So
yeah, it's usually Barry. I'm glad you've gone to Brian. It's nice to be called something different for a change.
JJ Okocha, yeah, and he was like a rarity, an extreme rarity. Now, every Premiership team's got. Look at Sunderland.
No, I was going to say, you've only got to look at some of
I'd
them.
rather not, but if you do, you know, they've got 7 going off the AFCON in January.
Yeah, absolutely.
What Sean's
What we got coming in here?
Sean's
panel
saying
looks
the panel
odd.
looks odd. Just jail bogey, please.
What do you mean looks odd? This is the way we always look.
Do you know? I think it's because I'm in the middle.
No, this is Anthony, and I've started one of his chats earlier on. Where he's saying, in your opinion, what position would you upgrade with a large signing first? But that doesn't detract from what he said. I'm assuming you live in Buffalo.
Was he the guy that was asking for the hotel?
Anthony's saying there, my city, which I'm assuming is Buffalo, went through this whole process. And unfortunately, I think my city must be an activist group or something in Buffalo, went through the whole, and unfortunately, the tycoons are all about money, and fans in Buffalo had to pay a lot because the Buffalo Bills moved out of town.
Out of town, didn't they? Yeah.
Into a brand new stadium, which I've Google Earthed in the past. And I think that's what he's saying. The tycoons won. Well, you know, for me, I want the tycoons to win.
Yeah. You have to be
They're
careful.
coming out the trees win. Really, who's that off?
That's off. Was that? He says here, be fair, and Jal both bulky and win. Oh, bless you. Now, listen, we have had. Do you want to do some stored before we get into this next part, then, Win? Because I have done a few.
Right.
Racist card is a load of what's it, says Margo. I don't think there was anything racial that came out of Win's mouth. It wasn't made in that type of terminology.
It's a standard expression coming out of the trees. Nothing to do with anything, just if something is plentiful.
I think we'll just use that one there.
Fruits falling from trees.
Yeah.
Without sponsors in a new stadium, no CEO or DOF will do anything apart from make millions for doing nothing free money. Jody Dan, I know you were saying NUFC ain't worth as much as other clubs. However, I got the feeling they are marketing NUFC as a club with huge potential to be elite and getting sponsors on board for the journey. And I agree with you there. David Carmichael, lads, you know my thoughts. 2 seconds. PIF have had plenty of time to sort the stadium out. Remember announcements being made 4 times, then nothing. Note, zilch. PIF and spend what they want on infrastructure. Indeed, they can. What we needed to do was just strengthen the squad with the way Eddie knows best. High press, relentless football. Yes, we need a big squad for that. I don't get why we didn't just stick to the plan. My God, Harpal. It's not very often I agree with you, but by God, do I agree with you there. Jake Ray, we need to upgrade the defence with younger players with pace and also a pacey striker. Well, have a think about this. Arguably our best defence at the minute is Livramento, Chow, Botman and Hall. Average age 22, 23. But now you've then got to augment that because of the older players who are going to be, Share, Burn, Trippier, the Kraft. They're on your way, so you have to replace them. But you have to, it's all about recruitment, and you've got to replace them well.
Mm. So there was a good little comment there. There was always good comments with our viewers, so I have no issues with that. But Let me go back to that because I think that is probably where we are probably lost at the minute. So let's have a look at the game model, the on-pitch identity for a second then. Because for me, you talk about the world's biggest club without a recognised football identity anymore. Again, our identity was intensity. If you look at Liverpool, it's the pressing game. If you look at Man City, it's positional play. If you look at Real Madrid, it's counter-punching. Bayern is the intensity. They want to get that ball back. Have we lost that bit now? Because we seem to be in the middle of doing something, but we look unsure of what it is we're doing because it's not a press anymore. It's a half press, but it's a trigger press. But then you start looking at players, who's triggering when, and which one of you is going to go first. Because at the minute, when I watch football now at Newcastle, where you had them trigger moment and you could see and identify it straight away, that does seem to be missing. So what is our identity, guys? Because I don't know.
Part of the problem for me right now is, everybody's trying to identify what's going wrong. What's going wrong for me, big style, is Eddie apparently making this conscious decision to change from a high-intensity, high-energy pressing team into a possession-based team. And I think that's largely been done on the back of the horrific injuries that we got 2 seasons ago. The introduction of Paul Mitchell, who brought, thank you very much, Paul, Bunce with him, Steve Bunce with him. And I think Steve Bunce, well, I don't think, you go on about stats as much as you want, but since Steve Bunce came in, our injuries have fallen dramatically.
Yeah.
So has that been maybe at the cost of Steve Bunce, rightly if you want, having some influence over the style of play, etc., etc., etc.? Saying that we cannot continue with players playing umpteen games a season, flat out for 90 minutes for the whole of those number of games. Yeah, it's going to have to change. And we've got that year last year as well when they were both there. That and with Darren Eales at the top, that could have been definitively saying to Eddie, it's got to change, it's got to change, it's got to change. So he said, right, okay, we'll go there. As opposed to, I never agree with, well, very rarely, I put it the other way around, very rarely does Harpal agree with me, but I certainly agree with Harpal there when he's saying, no, just buy more high-intensity players.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Instead of these ball players and skillful players that everybody's going on about, we did very, very nicely, thank you, if it hadn't been for the injuries, with that high-intensity game.
Go on,
I think the identity, it's been lost a little bit, though, that
lost completely for me.
Any real identity, and this is why I think identity maybe is why we say we're stagnant. It's sort of hard to see. It's hard to see what the plan is, the long-term plan, because there's nothing really changed. And this isn't calling out the manager. This is calling out the whole coaching staff. There doesn't seem to be the next development of where we're going with this team, or you can't see sort of things changing a lot with what we're doing. It just seems to be the same old, and we haven't bought the players to play the game that can be changed.
But are we in the halfway house then? Because like I say, we've had that intensity was the identity because you had the players up top at the time. If you think about it, apart from Murphy, on that right hand side, you had that little pace with Isak and Anthony Gordon on that trigger point. I'm not saying they did it well. I'm just saying it can put a lot of pressure and it creates a lot of problems for opposition defence keepers when they're under pressure. So when you look at what we had, and now we've changed to a lesser pacey team. There's no elements of pace up that top anymore. I mean, when Elanga's in, I suppose you can say there is. So there has to be a change in the element, hasn't there? There has to be a change in the way you get the ball back in, I'm not going to say in the final third, because it's as high as you can get it back, isn't it?
Isn't football great? In the space of 3 consecutive chats coming in, we've got Brandt saying, Walty's been one of our best players this season, and people are trying to pin Howe's lack of tactics and formation changes on him. It's pathetic. Very next chat. Anthony, this is why depth, this is 2 Americans, by the way, having a go at each other. This is why depth is so important, so you can continue to play that style. And Brandt coming back with, but the injuries are due to high intensity. There's a reason the best teams don't play that way.
But wait,
that's football opinion. That's what we're all about on this channel.
Of course it is. Absolutely.
I don't think we're in halfway house. I just think he's trying to do both. If you watch the games, if you watch the other night, the first 20 minutes, we were high intensity. Every player was pushing the ball every time.
But it wasn't the trigger point, though, was it? Where it was the high press, wasn't it, with the intensity?
But I'm saying he changed that after 20 minutes, and it sort of it went a little bit from the game. Whereas in the past, we would have just kept going like that. It's a different one because we just seem to be in this as you say, a halfway house where we're trying to do 2 different things in a game, and I don't think the players are getting it.
So.
Our pals back doubling down agreed when he lad there's been a drastic change in playing style. That's why I said we needed to expand the squad with the same player profile that Eddie can coach. It's baffling. Indeed it is. It's baffling everybody.
It's easy. It's crazy. I mean, I've just made a comment there to my notes that I've got on the screen in front of me.
But the thing I'll say is, as daft as it is, we've lost 11 points from winning positions this season. If we had those 11 points, we'd be top of the league. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, you'd be second. And that's the problem, isn't it?
Can I pick you up?
Let's do Wazza. Let's do Wazza, though.
Sorry.
I've just seen... No, because it's not. We haven't missed it. I've just noticed that he's been a member for 16 months. It might not have even come up on that. It's come up on the screen in front of me. So well done, Wazza, for being a member for 16 months.
Cheers, Billy.
Thank you, buddy. For me, Balky, go on, carry on with your point, dude.
Just one thing about these stats Wynn keeps bringing up all the time about the games so far this season, and you keep saying if we're 2 points behind, we'll be 2 points in front if we beat Burnley at the weekend, which I completely accept. You're right compared to last season, and we will be there. But then when we go into the next run of 7 games where we picked up the 3 points every game, are you then going to be saying? Are you expecting that to be the same then? So,
no, but we didn't because a lot of those games were cup games.
No, they weren't. I'm talking about only the league games. If we don't do that,
5 in a draw.
If we don't do that after that, are you going to be going the other side saying, "Well, hang on, we're on a lot less points than we were last season"?
Of course, I am.
Right, that's fine. Thanks, Gary.
Listen, I've told you how many times have I told you my line in the sand. If we're not within striking distance of the Champions League after the Christmas fixtures, he's gone. As far as I'm concerned,
that wasn't the point I was making. What I was saying was, you're using stats from last season. I'm just saying you've got to remember that after.
I'm saying we're having all the arguments about how bad we were last season.
After the Burnley game, we need to pick up 19 points from 21. For your stats to carry on being correct.
If you've done those sums, I'll take your absolute word for it.
This one's a good one. Geordie Dan, they are not as intense as they understand team management and mitigating injuries, likely with Bruce Bunce's input. I mean, it's like I said, for me, it just seems as though, and I'm not saying it's a confused state, it just seems as though we've got 2 elements of 2 different styles of team on the field of play. Some want to play football. Some want to go and chase the ball. Some, and again, it just doesn't look accomplished for me. So the first thing I wrote after we started this discussion, what do Newcastle have to do? And I think, it's build a clear tactic blueprint. Either be aggressive, front foot, be modern, do something, but make it as in you're doing it for the squad rather than somebody's put in there, we're changing our tactical play to suit Voltamada. Well, you have to get the best out of players. Sometimes you have to adapt to try and fit everybody into that one piece, because it is a team game. It's not individual. Individuals' brilliance get you results, but it's the squad that keep it a clean sheet. You can't rely on just the keeper. You can't rely on just a defender. You can't rely on a midfielder. When areas have been poor this season, and we have had areas of poor, players, if you like, and again, you go to all the metrics that we played against Tottenham, the entire four, if you call, and I'll work on the subs. And this is for Yano, because, like I say, Yano brought a point into last night's chat. I think he may have been this afternoon's. I forget now, because Yano was obviously very defensive towards J7, and he's absolutely bang on. Miley lost the ball more than any other player. Absolutely spot on, The problem is, when you look at the amount of times he had the ball as a possession and the amount of times he had the ball as a, that was passed to him, was triple the times that the likes of J7 had it. So you have to take, if you're going to throw an accusation out there, you have to look at it wholesale. Now, I am a numpty, according to Chris, because I look at stats differently than what everybody else does. I don't just look at the number. I look at what is around that number, and why does he have that problem in that area? Is it the fact that they're reliant on him having that ball and being dominant with the ball? It's like when Bruno come on, he lost the ball a number of times. But when you look at the amount of times he had the ball at his feet, that he wanted the ball, he wanted to control the tempo of the game, and that's the same with Miley. It's about controlling the tempo of the game. Players were either set out of this tactical element, and I think that is where the problem is at the minute. We've got players that are tasked to do another role. J7 yesterday against Tottenham was exceptional defensively. Absolutely great. When he went and got that ball, it was when he pulled the ball back from that left-sided defensive area, when he was supporting Lewis Hall. I could never understand, and Boki, correct me if I'm wrong, my friend, I could never understand why he decided to have 3 and 4 touches when he had clear grass to run into. He had options left to right, but then he waited to get the ball taken off him. And that, to me, is what, you go and do an exceptional job, but then you're giving the game or the ball straight back to the opposition because you're indecisive. And that, to me, is the element and the word that I use for a lot of players within the Newcastle squad at the moment. We are too indecisive. Murphy was criminal against Spurs. Too indecisive of what he wanted to do with the ball, whether he wanted to keep it short or get it into the box. And by the time you make a decision, the ball's off you. Teams in the Premier League will not give you time to do what you want to do. They're being told and tasked to get the ball back and go and play on the other end of the park. So I just think we need to utilise it more.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there with Joe Linton in regards to what sorry, I forgot who made the point, but was it Foxy?
I think it was Yano.
Yano made the point about losing the ball, but I think you've got to look at the type of balls they're trying to play as well. So again, using stats sometimes doesn't give you that perspective. Whereas J7's passing balls sideways and backwards, Miley was trying to play through. So you are going to lose more balls going that way because obviously they're going to be more defensive doing that. So technically you could sit somebody in the number 6 role and say to them, never pass forward, just go side to side. So they could end up with 90-odd% pass rate. But then the players that they're passing to, who are trying to be more attacking and pass the ball forward, could then end up with 70-odd% pass rate. And the reason being is the type of pass that they're trying to make. So if you're playing defensively like J7 did in that game, we both said that, I think naturally you're going to have a better passing rate than somebody who's trying to make things happen on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, and I think that for me, I mean, I was baffled, I think is the word I can only use listening to you guys in the late show last night, because I never mentioned Tonali being useless, never mentioned anything apart from...
This is Chris putting words in people's mouth again.
Honest to God, I sat there and in the end I turned it off because I just couldn't listen to any more. Because like I say, metrics tell you where, and that's what I said. It's about leading on the field of play, and you look at where Tonali was. His main elements of play was around the centre circle. There wasn't any output in the final third. Now, again, is that his task? Is that what he's been tasked to do? Or you get player like for like. Bruno comes on, and yes, he lost the ball 3-4 times more than Tonali did. But what are you trying to do and develop the ball in the opposition box was 3-4 times more than Tonali was trying to do. And that's why I said, is it just the fact that he can't lead the team when he's not got players around him that he trusts? That is literally the thing that I said. But according to it, that means that he's crap. Little do I know. So,
so just out of interest, because I said if you know that's what it is, Bokey, I'll take your word for it. Well, I've now checked.
Go on.
And on the 1st of February last year, after 24 games, we were on 41 points and in 5th place in the league. 41 points, which is 22 more than we've got now, but we've got 11 games to play, so we've got to get 22 points out of 11 games.
And how many points?
And we'll be exactly where we were last year. And then, believe it or not, we went down a place in the next month. We went down a place to 6th on the first.
How many points have we averaged this season per game?
The same as we did last season. Well, more than we did last season.
No, I'm saying, but how many so far have we averaged per game this season?
Well,
because you're going to have to add that for them. You're going to have to average 2 points a game,
which is what we did last season.
Exactly.
You said we've got to get something like 19 out of 21, and that's not true. We've got to get.
Yes, we've got 22 out of 33. I'm saying as long as you agree that we'll have to do that, that's fine.
Yeah. You
see, I'm just asking you that you're putting these stats forward now. I'm just saying back them up when we go into that run that you will get the same points in that.
Sorry, Brooke, it was you that brought those stats.
No. I've said I apologise. I got the amount of points wrong. But what I'm saying is just as long as we pick up 22 out of 33 points, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think what you've got to look at.
I think you need to look at the run of games we've got though, mate.
I'm going to say there's tough games coming our way, mate. Now and you know what Wynne said. I think it was this morning, or again, correct me if
Which
I'm wrong.
Which games have we done best in this season?
Yeah, I think what you said. If you would you have accepted 7 out of 9 points with the teams that we've just played?
Absolutely, exactly.
Yeah, you would have all probably said yes because of the Man City situation and everything else. Because the games do change, on a night. We're all on a knife edge a little bit now. And I think that's the problem. We all watch the game and we all have different opinions on what is right and what's wrong. For me, like I said, I don't hold a candle to any player. I don't hold a candle to any manager. I speak what I see. I see what I believe is the correct way to see football without having, this hierarchy, this umpteen love and divine right to certain individuals. I've never been that way in football and I never will be. Because that literally clouds my judgment on the game. So when I look at everything that I make an opinion of, I source the facts behind the opinion. I don't just go, oh, he was fantastic. I can't do that without knowing, eye candy's great. I love to go window shopping. My missus slaps my hand if I put my hand in my pocket to buy anything. But when I watch a game, and that's what I said, when I'm commentating, I miss most of the game because your concentration's on something else. I can't really give an opinion on something that I haven't had full focus on. So then, to get the shows and give it the best opinion I can possible, I go and rewatch the event. And that's the only way I can give a judgment. I can't sit here and honestly say he was brilliant, he was poor. Because for me, against Tottenham,
and I'm the
there
same,
wasn't an
Gary.
outstanding player. There was not an outstanding player against Spurs. They were all an average, work rate was good at certain points, but there was so much of that game which could have been a lot better. And for me, again, we come back to the tried and trusted players that stayed on the field of play far too long for me. And now you've got the Shaw situation. Somebody put in the chat earlier. Shaw's fell out with a lot of people now. Looks like Shaw wants out of the club. Are we losing the battle with some players now? Because, as Boki said, Shaw had nothing wrong. He got dropped because of concussion. Doesn't mean that he played bad. He's just not had the opportunity. And when he did come back because of Dan Burns' ban, he played all right. He played well. Didn't put a foot wrong.
Did play well.
So, you do get a little bit on that defensive when you start looking at players that aren't having poor games but get dropped, but players that seem to continue have not poor games but less. They're not impacting the game the way you want to see them impact the game. That's when I start questioning, what's going on.
But this all goes back to Howe having his favourite players, doesn't it? Because, you had Dubravka last season who, when we went on that great run...
Ooh, he's coming back on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then as soon as he got the chance to put Pope back in, he did. And again, with the Spurs game, you had Shaw, who had a good game. They did nothing wrong. But as soon as Burn was back, he put Burn in. And I've got no doubt at all that as soon as Barnes has anything he can drop him for, he'll have Gordon back in. So I think the one problem is having a manager that's got his favourite players.
Well, that's been questionable for a while now, hasn't it? I'm trying to think of where the...
Buy some.
Yeah. Tony's just put in there where I saw the Shaw debate. Bear with me a second, because I'm trying to find that, my friend, just so I can give you context on what's going on.
I wouldn't blame Shaw if he's annoyed, because he did, as I say, he's done nothing wrong. But as soon as he gets in the team, he's straight back out again. When Burns fit, he's took straight out.
Yeah. Just while I'm having this little hiatus, if you like, I just want to give my...
Do this super chat by him.
You can do, mate. Just let me finish this. This is Shaka Hislop, 56-year-old. He's suffering at the minute with aggressive form of prostate cancer. So my thoughts, and I'm sure all at Newcastle NUFC Talk, send our fond regards and get well soon, mate. I hope you get over that, because it's a nasty way. But if you're going to have your prostate removed, make sure they keep your nerves, dude.
100%. And I think as well, it's worth just pointing out, Gary, it's worth all men just getting checked if you've got...
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't be ashamed. Like I say, if you want me, I've got a good thumb. Happy to help you.
We'll just quickly do pause as super chat. My point is that we need BEM out of seat players.
Bum out of seat players.
BEM out of seat players. Not quite sure what he means, but...
Yeah, Connor, if you've got that at hand, buddy, can you send me that through again, bud? Sorry for saying that out loud to you guys, but anyway, I know Connor always. I don't know what it is, Tony, but I will get it in a second, buddy. But according to the reports, I might have it in another log. That he's upset. That's the top and bottom of it. Shaw is upset, and he's starting to question whether he needs out of this club. And that is, like I say, I'll have that report for you before I finish. We've got half an hour to go, and we've still got quite a way to go. So let's crack on with this, because I know like you guys are going to concentrate on the Burnley game, and I've still made quite a few notes on what's going on. So let's look at the goal of the global brand expansion. When you were at this do, this was at the Stack, wasn't it? It wasn't the do that you had last night, was it?
I think we made a lost win for a second.
Have we lost win? Is he having a hiatus? Okay, well,
remind people that they've got Chris following up with win for the late night show.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, and I think who else is coming on the late night show? There's a few others, isn't there?
Am I back?
You are back. I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah, you're back. So you the event that happened with Hopkinson was at the Stack, wasn't it? That's not the event that you went to.
No, that was on Monday night.
Cheers, dude. Yeah,
No, the Hopkinson event was on Monday night
right, got you.
at the Stack.
So just for clarity, this is to Tony, because Tony's asking where I got the information from. It was an article that was in the Chronicle. Fabian Schär admits he's not happy with Newcastle United's role. I'm not stupid, he says. The Newcastle centre-half has been a bit part player over the couple of months. And that's where he's saying he's finding it hard to accept that he isn't part of the first team or part of the squad anymore after losing his place. So... Again, what's
he's
his
definitely
space with
part
this
of
one?
the squad, but he's
But
not.
you know what I mean, as in the first team squad. There's two for me. There's certainly two elements to Newcastle's squad, as I say, and there's those that come in and guarantee a spot, and there's those that sit in the background.
All I would say to counter the favouritism argument is Schär hasn't lost his place because he did lose it in the first instance because of concussion. And you can argue that Howe was being too loyal to Schär in those circumstances because he should have been playing Chow, with Chow turning out to be as good as he is. So the reason Schär lost his spot was because when he was out with concussion, Chow came in and did brilliantly.
Yeah.
But
Now, then Schär came in at left centre back.
Yeah, did a great job.
Did a very good job. But then, as the manager, you've got to ask yourself, who is the best left centre back? Dan Burn or Fabian Schär? And that's got nothing to do with favouritism. It's simply who's the best left centre back.
And it was why when Hall came back, Hall was fit on the bench. Why didn't he put him straight in for?
Because he wasn't fit, and he said, we now know that he wasn't fit.
If he wasn't fit, then Howe's wrong for putting him on the bench?
No, because he came on as a sub and did well.
No, you're arguing both sides of the coin here, because you were arguing at the time that you would put Hall on even if he only give you 45 minutes.
Yes, well, I would play him the first half. I would decide to play him the second half.
So why is Eddie Howe dropped Schär when he had a good game, playing at that position, and put Burn straight back in, but he didn't drop Burn when he was having a shocker at left back for game after game after game, and he kept Hall on the bench?
Because Hall wasn't fully fit.
So he shouldn't have been on the bench.
No, and I agree. I would have played. I always say, if you've got sort of longevity doubts, the doubts about how long somebody can last, can they do a full 90 minutes? My argument is always put your best side on at the start.
There you go.
And then if they tire,
so Hall was his best centre.
Take them off and replace them. Yeah, but
let's get some involvement then. Let's get some involvement. Guys in the chat, right? We've got 25 minutes. So before the end of the early show, what I want you guys to do in the chat is give me your best two centre-halves, not full-backs, your best two centre-halves. It doesn't have to be two left-footers, two right-footers. It can be who you believe is the best two centre-backs at Newcastle United. And put them in 1 to 4 order, or 1 to 5 if you're going to include Lascelles, who I think is now in the shop. But let me know who you believe is the best. Because, again, we talk about opinions matter. And we talk about, for me, everybody's got a favourite. We know you love Dan Burn, and he does do well in that left centre-back. But as we've seen, Schär did okay in there. He didn't do a bad game. And I'm sure we won that.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying he did.
That's what I'm saying. So it would be interesting to know what everybody else thinks. Somebody's put in there Tino and Hall. Centre backs, not full backs. Anyway, let's crack on with the last little bit, if you like, before I say goodnight to you guys. Global brand expansion, because for me this is some of the finer details, if you like. This is Hopkinson's speciality. You know where he's come from, that global football brand.
Global sport.
Exactly. He's been involved in a lot of the big boys with the Real Madrids and things like that. So he knows how to pull in that global side of things. A recognisable club crest is what come to mind in the conversations that we're saying. So again, it's not about changing the club crest. It's about modernising the club crest to be easier to apply and cheaper to maintain. Again, this all affects, and again,
Cheaper
we talk
to
about
manufacture.
Yeah, we talk about loyalty, but what we have to start doing is keeping the money in the pockets. Millionaires don't become millionaires because they don't spend money. Us, low class people like myself that spend money because we don't know how to keep hold of it, we don't know how to save it, are always going to be poor. I'm never going to be a millionaire. Star players who attract global sponsorships, because again, that to me is talking about that package. We talk about the Brunos, Tonalis. These are good players. The Voltemada, I think, Voltemada has made a massive impact in Newcastle. His name now across Germany is huge. Even the likes of now Munich are looking at this lad. So I think players
they paid 70 million for Waldemar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but look how different they are looking at him now. They're all patting him on the back and telling him how good he's doing. So there's a massive shift mentality there.
And that's a worry, by the way.
Well, it's only a worry if we maintain mediocrity. If we continue to play as we are and be mid-table teams, and bounce, then you've got to be knocking on the door for big things, mate, to maintain big players, and that comes across all levels.
Absolutely, which is why I've got the threshold that I've got.
Yeah, and for me, the one thing that worries me now, I said next year we shouldn't be a mid-60s team, as in points. We should be looking at the 70s mark now to move forward. Estimation as I speak now, coming up to the Christmas period, 55. We've dropped 10 points. That's the estimation.
That's because all they're doing is multiplying the 38 by the points per game so far.
Yeah,
it's a silly
listen,
stat.
The metrics are there, aren't they? Yeah, we know. But we have still got some difficult teams coming our way. Then you look at the teams. You've got to start looking at multi-level football clubs. It's not about just looking at. I know the women's team doesn't interest everybody, but it's about exposure. It's about getting them into the WSL, because once they get there, that's when the big money starts coming in, because you get that more broader horizon. So you've got to look at multi-team exposure, not just looking at the first 11 that's on the park at St James's Park.
So just on that note, did you see the article last week that Sky are now flat out on WSL?
Really?
And the view. Well, yeah, they've been televising live games here, there, and everywhere.
I didn't see the interview.
No, it wasn't an interview. It was an article in the Telegraph, I think it was.
Oh, right. No, I didn't see that.
The viewing figures are plummeting.
Really?
They've put a lot of money, paid a lot of money for it, and it's not looking good.
It's interesting. What Newcastle must start looking at now, for me now, get back to US, get back to the Middle East and Asia, because and again we talked about young Park Sue. He could be multi-million-pound brander. As daft as it looks, just one player. You know what I mean? So we've got to go back to where the big clubs are, and start filling their stadiums and make some negotiations. Because the US, I thought there's some cracking stadiums there, and I think, like I say, that is where you're going to make your money for me.
But by the way, when I said concentrate on Africa because it's got a much bigger population than. What is going on in China? Can anybody explain to me? And India, by the way, with the populations that they have, why is it that you can the first Premier League Chinese superstar is gonna be worth trillions, and yet they just don't appear to be coming through anyway. You know, why not set up an academy in Beijing, send all the top coaches over there, and I'm sure this is not beyond the wit of the giants in the game at the minute. Somebody somewhere must have the nous to say, get over to China, because if we can crack that market, then by the way, a bit like America, it could be a double-edged sword, because if it takes off over there, we are going to be sniffing around for breadcrumbs when it comes to buying players, because they'll have them all.
But they tried it in China, haven't they? Look at Benitez went across there to manage, didn't he? And they did do it.
This is what I'm saying. I don't understand.
It's not this. It's not their national sport. It's not.
Well, neither was snooker.
Like we do.
Have you seen Jody down there? When you head to Asia with your special trips, you could do some scouting. Quality, that is, Jody.
He's good at ball control when he's out there, so yeah, hopefully that.
Indeed. Just use the oil.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. All what I've written down here, they're all literally from what Hopkinson has been spouting. I've just made it simple for me to read rather than just read paragraph. So all I've done is bullet points all of the areas that he has been looking at to try and make this club a global market, if you like. And when you look at where Hopkinson gives Newcastle an advantage that other CEOs cannot, this is that area, that global reach, launch global community programs, football schools, year-round internationals, fan engagement areas where you get, that's the one thing that I must admit Amy Alby's good at. You know what I mean? He does go and engage with the fans when he goes on these trips. Crap at the loan management side of things, but he's good at that. And again, you've got to put the right people in the right areas. And I think maybe that's something that they need to look at. So what he also looked at is the pitfalls that could derail it. And you've got to start looking at all eventualities. And these are some of the threats, like you said, financial rules could limit transfer spending. We know that. There's, we talked about PSR and how that limited us, and then it's gone into SCR. And that's just going to be the same situation we found ourselves under PSR. So he knows that alone, just looking at the financial rulings, it's not going to allow us to go and spend and get these all singing, all dancing players. And that's why I said, some of the more influential younger players that we've been looking at now, another one, according to ESPN Brazil, Alan Elias, apparently he's got a buyout clause of 87 million. And then when you actually read the small print, offers around 28 million. Should get the deal done. It does make you laugh when you read some of this stuff. And another one, they're looking at another goalkeeper, Parma's 23-year-old Zion Zukusi. I don't know where he's from. Suzuki. Maybe he has that Asian connection, possessing strong, flexible reflexes and agility, a modern goalkeeper who is comfortable with the ball at his feet, a good distribution, passing ability. So, again, you look at all these loads.
At the risk of sounding racist, he doesn't look very Asian.
No. And parents, maybe one of the other is, of African descent. I don't know. But you've got to start looking at these.
He's definitely of African descent. I don't think he's of Oriental descent.
Well, you don't know whether mum is or dad. I mean, he's taken more of his, the African side. I don't know. But like I say, from the picture, he doesn't look as though he has got that Asian side of him. So you've got to look at the financials. You've also got to think of the stadium delays. Go on, mate.
Anthony in Buffalo is saying, thanks for the super chat, Anthony. The sport needs to blow before we produce quality. Do you think that could be grow?
I think it means blow up in like it takes a China, so it needs to be massive before we can.
Oh no, right. So of course he's speaking from America, and he's saying that soccer needs to
blow up.
blew up before we produced quality. Well, you've produced quite a bit of quality.
When
Up to
you
now.
want about the women's game, the women games in America is massive.
Oh,
The
yeah,
women's
it's
football
huge.
game is massive compared to over here. So
Yeah, according to
just have a
Connie,
chance.
Win. According to Connor, he's from Japan. There you go. So
Whoa.
there you go. Keeper from Japan. So, like I say, again, are we looking at that? Is this another thing that Hopkinson's looking at and bringing these players in? I mean, like I say, these may not be starters. So I'm not saying they're going to be the world beaters, these kids that they're looking at. But what it does do is influence the markets in their relative countries. So that's the thing that you've got to look at. We go on to the stadium delays, and again, this could be the big one for me because of all the red tape that goes on it. So it could stall growth massively, this stadium delay. Like I said, you're not looking at you even after Euros 28. You're talking 2 years after that before they even start laying a brick, if the go-ahead on Leesy's Park gets gone. So, like I say, you're talking 2035 before any of this is going to be anywhere near being sorted. Biggest thing for me, though, mate, and like I say, we can talk who's right, who's wrong, who's to blame, who's not to blame. It's underperformance on the pitch, and that could break momentum for me. Because, like I say, I haven't seen. You're correct. We're exactly the same as where we were last year. And in your eyes, we've moved forward because we're in cup competitions, European competitions. In my eyes, it's a standstill. It's not moved forward. It's not gone backwards. We've spent players to develop and build the squad and broaden the horizons. But for me, we are still steady eddies. We are still on that, but let's see what we can do. Where's this move forward? Where's this sudden jump into the top 10? So until I see that increment, I'm still on the fence because I can't see a development going forward. You know what I mean? It's an underperformance for me with everything that we've done so far as a club to push players. So again, talking about underperformance, what underperformance gives you then is the chance, and again, we question it, losing top players. We could be forced to move them players on, one, because of finances, two, because we're underperforming and they want Champions League football. If we don't reach Champions League football, do we start losing those top players that we've already gained because we took a step backwards? So there's a lot of things that we have to do as a club to keep this global approach to being the biggest club in the world. And I think, like I say, as much as Hopkinson speaks it, there's still a hell of a lot that we need to be doing as a club.
Well, it goes without saying that if we don't perform, we're going to lose our top players, which is again where the threshold's where it is and where it should be.
Yeah, just going.
Partly as well, we were not having a huge name manager in as well. If we get a huge name manager, do you stand more chance of keeping your better players? Or at least the manager.
I don't think you stand more chance of keeping your better players, but you certainly stand a better chance of getting, important better players.
If the Shaw stories are true, it's obvious now Eddie's beginning to annoy players with the way he's doing things, and through time the players will start to pick up on favouritism.
I think hang on, Shea's always been one of his favourites.
I think a top-class foreign coach doesn't do what Eddie does. They don't have the favourites. They play the best player at the best time for the team.
Right.
I don't think that's always the case for Eddie. Well, it's not. Hall was the best player the other week at the best time for that team, but he kept Dan Burning at left back.
Because he was coming back from a horrific injury.
But so was Tino. And he put Tino straight in the team.
I think necessity sometimes overshadows, though, isn't it?
The mother of invention, Gary. The mother of invention.
Yeah, I think, like I say, when you're at your limitation regarding players in positions, and this is why I say, for me, one of the most important positions to go and fulfil now is another fullback. If you can get a versatile one, then great. If you can't, we know we've got Tino that can adapt left and right and does a decent job there. So you need a right back. One, because we haven't got players now that impact the game at defensive levels. And two, we've got a lad who seems to be at the end of his career. because he's just not recovering fully from these niggles now. Last 5 minutes then, just before I...
Ginger Hussin saying, question, Gary, Man United are on 24 points. I'm sorry, that's progression. We're on 19 points. 4 sides have to drop for us to get Champions League. I think Eddie is done, because if our CEO backs him, we will never improve.
Like I said, at this present moment in time, the next 2 games, I think, for me, are crucial coming up to the Christmas period.
Yeah.
The next 2 games, we'll see whether Eddie is in or Eddie's out, in my opinion. And I do think, there is still a lot of points to be gained this season. And there was a question mark. We mentioned this could be a transitional period for Newcastle. So should we just throw all the eggs at individuals and say, this is you're to blame? Because like I say, there is a change happening on the field of play, behind the scenes. Sometimes these do have an impact on the way teams play. We saw a massive drop-off. I'm not saying it was the reason, but there certainly was a massive drop-off on the performance when we heard about Darren Eales' illness. So, we keep talking about being human. These things do seem to have a natural effect and a knock-on to individuals. Do you want to do that one, dude?
Yeah. Tony T, if we don't perform, won't our top players be partly responsible? Yeah, they don't look at it that way, Tony. That's the problem. How many of our first team are you guys suggesting are top players? Yes, Jill Bogey.
Yeah, he's just gone to the Danny, mate. Listen, like I said, for me, individuals, it's very difficult to sit here and say, he's a massive top player. He's a massive top player. Chris was right. Do we applaud a man like Bruno, who wins a challenge and gets the crowd off their bums, if you like, in the crowd, and we all praise it? Should we just not concentrate on the game itself, on the football? And that's what I'm saying. I think for me, on the day, we've got several really good individuals. Are they top players? Would they get into other sides? Well, it's proven a point if they're being touted by the likes of Man City. You guys were talking about Tino. We talk about Tonali. We talk about Bruno being linked with Man City at times. So their coaches must see something in these players for them to be involved or at least being linked with. So it's like I say, that's a difficult question for me to answer when you say who is a top player. You have to ask the question as well, why did they come to Newcastle if they see themselves in that astute at that level? Well, because, like I say, we are middle ground team at the minute.
Didn't Eddie have that exact conversation with Isak when Isak was, mooting to go away? He said, well, if you think you're a Champions League player, play like a Champions League player.
Can you respond to Matthew Bullman when I think he's interested in becoming a mod? If that's true, get in touch, Matthew. Information's down in the chat below us, buddy, in the instructions. You can get in touch that way, and then we'll get back to you, buddy. Thanks for getting in touch. Anyway, for the last couple of minutes, then let's just have a quick brief.
NUFC talk.tv email.
There you
go. Chris at NUFC talk.tv. Brilliant.
So let's have a look at the smart boys then, because I think a lot of Newcastle's going forward now, and I don't like to label, but I think a lot of it goes on Ross Wilson's shoulders moving forward, because he's got a hell of a lot of responsibility now. Reports are already suggesting that he's tasked on unearthing future stars, and we talk about that Brighton model, overspending on aging and overpriced players, which is what Mitchell said. We aren't very good at doing. We seem to be giving players away. The club seems determined in balancing promising young players, hidden gems with selective experienced additions. And I think that's where you've got to get that balance right. It's no good having these so-called superstars if you haven't got the lads around them to get the best out of individually these superstars. Because like I said, sometimes you can sometimes I'll go into war with individuals, but I go and have a drink with others. Doesn't mean that he's a wrong person. I just don't trust him with a gun in his hand. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes you have individuals that you can go and fight with, and you have individuals that you'll just go and watch a show with, because everybody's individually good at their own areas. So for me, the approach helps financial profitability, sustainability rules, which is obviously now CSR, giving Newcastle a chance to build a competitive squad without breaking those guardrails. Because to me, what we can't afford to do is an Amanda Staveley. I love it. I love what she did for the club. But when I look at what we lost with Minte and Elliot Anderson now, by God, it feels like we've just given away £200 million. That's what it feels like, for me. You've lost two absolute gems. You imagine them two in our side this season. What Minte does to us down that right-hand side, the way he pushes players. Kudus, look at the difference between Kudus and Elanga, and what Elanga does to us, and that's not positive. Kudus ran Hall ragged to a degree the other night. Got behind him a number of times. A beautiful ball into the box for the diving header for Romero's first goal. It's about picking the right player for the price that you're paying for them. And for me, I know Kudus didn't want to come to the North East. He wanted to be in London. Like I say, you're not going to have everybody just to go, oh, it's Newcastle. Yeah, I'll definitely come. So you have to pick the right person. For me, I just don't think Eddie's transfer philosophy, again, this Premier proven player, I don't always agree with, but I just think the players that he's brought into Newcastle through this window, was it 11th hour choices because we were desperate at the time? Did we do enough due diligence on the individuals regarding tactics, our tactics compared to output of the player? So there's a lot for me, like I say, pressure on Ross Wilson now moving into this next level when we're talking about global recognition of as a team. There are going to be a lot more players coming into this team that aren't big named players, but they have also got to kick on and be able to move the team forward as a group of players. And that to me
how many
thing.
Newcastle fans, honestly, had heard of Bruno and Botman before they came here?
But then when how many Premier League players
I
ever-
hadn't
people heard of
until
Bruno, man.
we were linked with them.
Well, like I say,
I heard
if
of
you watch
Bruno.
European football, if you watch European football, you'd have heard them. I mean, I didn't
Bruno-
hear of
Bruno
them
was
because I don't
a
watch
great-
European football.
Bruno was great at Paranaense, a club you would never know about. But anyways, man, you know what Paranaense is?
It
When
says
Ain't got a
mention.
clue, man.
United,
Ain't got a
never
clue.
mind anybody else's.
Well, that's it. You see, you've got to.
Was
you've
I
got to
saying
think
I had a
that
horrible thought? Becca is actually bookie.
Becca is bokeh. Ooh, hello, Becca. Maybe that's tattooed somewhere on an orifice to be. Be careful. Had a horrible thought. Becca is actually bokeh, says Wazza. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
that's
don't do
it.
it like that.
All right.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Well, do you guys hear me? Mic is good?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Right on. Thank you very much. That was a great early night show with Gary, Boki, and Win. Win's going to stay, of course, stick through. We got the panel with, who we got coming up? I forgot the names. Amrit, Jamie,
And Jeff
who else? And Jefferson. Lord have mercy. Anyways. And Jefferson, sorry, yeah, that's right. I don't see Jefferson, so I don't know.
He just
but
jumped
we
in and
got it
jumped out
anyway.
again.
Late night show, folks. Thank you very much, lads. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Good news from Hopkinson. Well, I mean, good news. I don't know.
See you later,
I don't know if he can deliver. I don't know if he can deliver when it comes to that. But the late night show starts now, folks. Let's get going.
You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube, and on every online radio directory. NUFC Talk, the voice of the Toon Army.
We're back. The late night. Oh, I didn't even play the late night intro, man. The late night intro. Where's the late night intro? Late night show, folks. Never mind.
set up for maximum confrontation and super opinionated debates. The NUFC Late Night Show with Chris the American Man, Derek the Mighty Win, Rory Caviani, and the rest of the panel, Monday through Thursday from 9:30 p.m. UK and UFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
The voice of the Toon Army. Jamie, you like being the voice of the Toon Army?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. There you go. When he's the voice of the Mackhams, you know, he's the voice of the Mackhams because he said the Mackham game is not relevant, man. Can you believe that? Can you believe how Jordy would say that? It's another game, he said. No. Have I misquoted you? Or have I said exactly what you said?
3 points.
Oh, there you go. Well, drink some water first and then answer the question, all right? We're going to let you time to drink some olive oil. Drink some olive oil, too. Drink some olive oil.
These threes are these threes.
Drink some olive oil, man. Drink some olive oil. It's good for your digestion, too, by the way. Shout out to Waza in the building. Folks, don't forget to smash the like button. Help the channel grow. Do that. Subscribe if you're new. Become a member if you can. Help the channel grow. You can also super chat and highlight your comment. Get your comment in front of everyone else's. And help us reach our goals. We got 10 super chats out of 20. So we're halfway there. So please help us by reaching another 10 super chats and helping the channel out. We got Jefferson in the building as well. How are you, folks? Amrit hasn't been a long time. Amrit, Susie, I think Susie's in the background.
I know.
Susie in the background.
Susie's in the background. Yeah, she's about to. She's about to.
By the way, Betsy cannot wait. Oh man. Hey, by the way, Betsy cannot wait to hang out with Susie again. And drink some wine. You know what I mean? Without Amrit, without Amrit, having a good time without you. So unfortunately,
I know.
But he's going back to India, man.
Yeah, man. The India
you got your
ready
paper.
for me.
Are you going on a trip or are you going on a personal leisure or you being booted out?
Well, come on. I can't really stay on this show, can I?
There you go. Anyways, folks, Jefferson, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah, good, man. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about Newcastle in a minute, and we're going to be knackered then. But as far as everything else is concerned, we're doing great. Jamie, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not sure about how these bells look on my head on this graphic.
You look like the end of a bell. So there you go.
It's missing.
That's so fun. That's funny though, man. That's funny. That was not done on purpose, by the way. It's just the way. I tell you what, though, we're gonna do you a favor, man. Boom, we fixed that problem. There you go. We fixed that problem. Now you got a bow on your head. I don't know which one looks better, but either way. So, fellas, Newcastle United is gonna face the mighty, powerful, indestructible, unbeatable, unbreakable Burnley on the weekend, and we assume it's going to be a 3 points, but can we assume with Newcastle United?
What happens if we assume?
Make a win out of you and me.
Make an ass out of you and me. Prove that we're wangers.
Anyway, so what do you make of it? First, come on, man, speak.
It's like
money in the bank.
There's a no way. It's a bit of a no-win situation, isn't it? Because, if everyone was being serious, and I saw in the prediction chat, everyone thinks we'll win, don't we? Most people are saying 3-0, 4-0. If we win, that's great. I'm sure we'll all have a nice afternoon. If it's anything less than a win, that's a massive cock-up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can see them, how they're going to play. They're going to come, they're going to play 9 defenders. And that's the thing we struggle with, that low block. And I do think they aren't good enough to do that for 90 minutes and shut us out. But it could get tense, if it's goalless at half time, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You start thinking, what am I doing here? Why am I wasting my time with all this?
I tell you what's interesting, because I want to know your... sorry, finish your point, my bad.
No, I was just going to say, I do think we'll win, but it's... Yeah. There's kind of not a major gain to be had then, is there? We'll probably still end up 13th anyway, because we can't get out of that position.
I don't even believe it's it's a morale booster or anything like that. It's like you have to do it. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I want to get to that game in a minute. 'Cause I do feel like it's going to get hot in a minute. And but I do want to know your opinion on what Hopkinson had to say about Newcastle being an elite club in 2030. And he says he's done it before with a club that was knackered, and then 5 years later, they were parading. So the key is money, of course. But I want to know. I think Wynn was talking about it, of course. But let me go to Jefferson, so he can. What do you think of that? And by the way, he backs Eddie Howe in that article. In many of the reports, he backs him. So I want to ask a question. He's the manager now. He backs him on when he spoke about this. So to all of you, starting with Jefferson, can we be there in 2030, elite club fighting with the best of the bunch with Eddie Howe in charge? And can you even see that happening at all in such a short amount of time? 2030 is actually, well, it is 4 years really, but yeah. So go on, Jefferson.
I knew you'd come to me first. I just knew it. Well,
good television, man.
The very simple answer to that is no, and I think we all know it's no. If you're not in the culties, you're not brainwashed, I think you'll know that the answer is no. You've only got to look at Villa and other clubs. You've seen that what their transition has been. When you've got a kind of even okay average manager doing all right, if you want to move up a level, then you keep it moving. But a key part of what was shared, he said, can Newcastle win the Premier League? Yeah, of course. Why not? Our job is to be perennial contenders. But the correlation between points earned and revenue is undeniable. So what that means is, number one, right now, not good enough. We know this. But number two, revenue, well, you're not going to get much revenue from the Conference League. You're not going to get much revenue from the Europa League. You're going to get revenue from the Champions League. So if you read between the lines, if Eddie doesn't get that top four to sustain that revenue we got last season, he's a goner. And at the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to get top four because I don't think we're going to get that extra fifth place. So whether we like it or not, I was in cheery mood because I like seeing ambition. This is what I've wanted. It's a shame Mitchell's gone because I think he would fit this. Well, I think we're moving in the right direction with CEO coming with big talk. I'm fed up with kind of mediocrity, mollycoddling people, running like we're some small club. This is a big thing. I think it's a big step. Let's hope we can execute it. But the board have to show some balls. No room for sentiment. I've said it a dozen times.
Man, he guns blazing.
Shots
Jefferson.
fired.
Shots fired. Win is gonna answer because it's directly at Win, really. This whole thing. But Amri, what do you make of the comments by the CEO?
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Is that what you guys say?
I really, really like it. And you know what, Jefferson, I understand you're a realist, man. But, let's put it into context, right? It depends on what we do this season. This season's really important. We're not that far into it, really. Let's be honest with you, right? Let's have a think. If we win something, we get into the Champions League, we then have revenue. It then goes back into the club. We sign a few more Tonalis. We sign a few more Brunos. I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. I like that song. I'm a dreamer. But at 2030, we could be there. Listen, it's lovely hearing it from the top because it means that they've already had conversations in the background. They've already had a little bit of right. However, let's sort this out. We need to get somewhere. We're not cruising along to be mid-table. We're not cruising along to do anything. We want silverware. We've got silverware. I've got my silverware over here. All right. I loved it, and I want more. I'm getting greedy. I've had a Big Mac. I want another Big Mac. Do you know what I mean? Right. Literally. That is what I'm saying. So I want another Big Mac, and I want us to win something this season, and I want us to qualify for the Champions League. And if we do that, there's possibilities, man, because revenue turns around, and all of a sudden we've got more and more quality players in our team. We do a pep where we keep our squad a little bit more condensed, and anything's possible. It's 5 years. If we were talked about each back in the Bruce day, saying right, okay, we're going to be winning the Carabao Cup, and we're going to have some of the best players in the world playing for us, one of the best strikers in the Premier League at the minute, one of the best midfields in the Premier League, if not the best midfield in the Premier League, one of the best defenders in the Premier League, if not the best. Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying anything's possible. That's what I'm saying.
Interesting. I like that. Very eloquent Amrijit, man. I like that, man. So, I like that. Jamie, what do you think about the CEO's comments? Do you think it's possible?
Well, I think it's possible, yeah, but a lot would have to change. I agree with what the guy said, that it's good to show ambition, but I'd like to quote a man who's from not a million miles from where you are, Chris. And what I would say is a little less conversation, a little more action, please. Because the thing is, and I covered this in my show a couple of weeks back, the only way those big clubs are making £300 million a year more than us, they need to close that gap. And I think to say we're going to win the Premier League in 5 years, but not say how you're going to increase commercial revenue, which is the ground, is kind of...
Well, he did speak about the ground, but...
You need to see, like, what is going to happen that Newcastle, who make £300 million a year, are going to be able to beat, like, Man City and Man United, who make £600-700 million a year. How are we going to overhaul them? You said the Champions League, Jeffo, but that's a short-term thing, because if you sign someone on a 5-year contract, you can't rely on the Champions League because you're amortizing that money across the 5 years. You can't rely on it supporting you, because even if you're doing well, you're going to have the odd season where you drop out of it. We need big income and commercial gains, and that's what I want to see that's within his gift, and that's what I want to see from them over the next couple of years. I think not having a ground announcement, because he kind of put that down. He said, we're not ready for it yet. They've kicked that can so far down the road, they must be about to kick it off a pier into the Atlantic Ocean or something now, because I don't know how they haven't got some kind of decision on the ground. So I think great that he's shown ambition, because he'll be held to account for those comments in years to come. And he's obviously confident that we can do that. But for us to win the Premier League, there has to be a major change either in the application of the laws or in our commercial income.
Yeah, wow. That's I like everybody on the same page. Yeah. Very critical. I like that, Jamie. Now we're going to get into the deluded side of things.
No, you're going to get into battered wife syndrome.
Oh, battered wife syndrome, man. But he's going to talk about Ashley. He's going to talk about Isak. He's going to talk about all that, man.
No, I'm going to talk about geographical position, which you don't like. And the idea that we will be anywhere near number one in the world. His words, like you say, a little less talk, a little more action. The idea that we can be number one in the world by 2030 is utterly ridiculous.
But let me ask you this, because nobody would ever thought. I mean, I know you say Man City were a big club. Man, they weren't really. They won one time, I think, and all of that. But come on, the idea that somebody would buy them and make them the biggest club in the world, to a certain game, of course, to a certain extent. I mean, they fluctuate with Real Madrid and all that now, but they compete for everything, really. So the idea that's going to happen with Manchester United, when they bought Man City, Manchester United were at their peak. And the idea that anybody would think they would compete with Manchester United, and much less with the world, in Manchester. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people would have bought that horse. But it happened.
How did it happen?
Well, they were able to spend.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't have PSR. You're right. So you can't say in the next 5 years, how are you going to do it? It's certainly under the rules, under circumstances, Champions League has to be a must. Now, whether that's going to be enough or not, you got to say the Champions League's got to be a must. Out of one of the many things that you need to do, like commercial revenue, stadium. You mentioned stadium. I don't know that Hopkinson can say much on the stadium, because it's in that particular sense, is Hopkinson a CEO where he makes like Florentino Perez, who is the Don of football. He makes every decision in Real Madrid. And can Hopkinson be that? Can he actually make a decision on the stadium without PIF being involved? Can he really do that?
No, but they could push proposals to them and get things moving. Surely,
or even a manager change if it were to happen. I don't know.
Well, like I said earlier on tonight, the biggest positive that I saw coming out of that statement and everything surrounding it was the fact that, in his opinion, PIF are the most committed owners he's ever worked with, and they have NUFC at the number one top of their agenda. All I'm saying, again, Jamie, it's so true. A little more action, less conversation.
Well,
on the subject of conversation, we've got a super chat from Geordie Dan with the CEO speaking with such confidence, and what he said about PIF, you wonder what big things they have cooking in the background that maybe we are not aware of. And
well, the stadium...
Tony T in the known tree with a $5 super chat. Sorry. Thank you, Tony. When I crunched the numbers, we are 5 points worse off versus the same fixtures last season, substituting Leicester for Leeds, with 5 less goals scored, 2 less conceded.
Oh yeah, that's right, because that's another topic of discussion. He enlightened me to earlier this morning that we're better off this season than last season. I couldn't. I didn't know that one, but that's. I guess I can ask you guys that question too, since you're so eloquently responding to every question I have. Are we better off than last season now? Says Win. Do you agree with that, Jamie?
I don't think it's far different. We weren't in a great position this time last season. I would say we're maybe marginally better off because we played some tougher teams last season.
But just to contextualize things so you can give me a better answer, I'm talking about everything. Football plus the income, the money that we spend, plus the incomings, the players coming, everything. You know what I mean? Income. Do you think we're still better off?
I don't know. That's very difficult to say there. Because on paper, we've maybe got a better squad, easy apart, but we don't know if that's going to work out at the moment. With haven't seen too little from Wissa, Ramsey, so I think jury's out on that one. But I don't think we're far different. So I'll come back to that one in late May.
Well, listen, that's fine. Some may already have the answer.
And not before.
We are no. Amri, do you think we're better off this season than last season?
It's difficult. It's exactly difficult to actually tell. If I'm honest with you, the way we play and the style in which we're playing in on occasion is better. If you remember, we had a real struggle last season, at the start of last season, and Harvey Barnes got us out of it really, and he just kept popping the goals, and he's doing the same thing this season.
Right. And some people wanted him out.
Yeah, some people did want him out. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a quality player. It's difficult to tell. I think we're more or less on par, if I'm honest with you. More or less on par, like Jamie said. When somebody says they've done the calculation,
and we've had Europe to contend with this season that we didn't have last season.
Yeah.
But surely that's not a problem. Surely that's not a problem.
Remember, that's
that's why we're better off.
No. Surely that's not a problem, because we need to know how to play in Europe, or else the solution is not playing.
Absolutely,
it's very easy. We just.
And that's
no, sorry. Do you remember last season we had a problem with squad depth? We had a real problem with squad depth. As soon as we had one injury, we were in trouble. Now we've got a bit of squad depth. We've got Louis Miley. We've got, in a certain degree, we've got several options for, our back four. I would say we probably need another striker, because if Watlamade or Wissa was to get injured, we would need somebody in the background. We've got Ursula. You know, at the end of the day, right, we're in a better squad depth situation. Are we performing the way we think we should do? Probably not. Probably
because
not.
that's the question. That should be because you know last season we had Callum Wilson who only win counted to score 10 goals. Nobody else knew he existed, and Isak was injured. He did amazing, to be fair. So we can't sugarcoat it. He's been one of the greatest strikers, if not the best striker we ever had this century. So that's plain and simple. I mean, we had Shearer, you know, but he was already a grandpa by the time he retired. So in this century at least, but. Jefferson, what's your answer to that question? Are we better off, like Win says, this season?
Oh, I think Tony's done the hard work for us. He's literally told us we're 5 points worse off. That's evidential enough, and we've scored less goals. And that's evident in losing one of the league's best strikers. So you can't be better off when you lose one of the league's best strikers. In that player that we had, in a puff of smoke, you could be 2 goals up. You know, now we can't do that. Our football is again heavily around running and crossing it into the box. So I think, on that basis alone, I mean, there was a bit of a funky thing last season where we weren't playing that well, but actually we managed to win a few games and get a few draws. I remember particularly Wolves, Eddie making 3 subs at half time, and then we scored 2 crackers to win the game. Bournemouth was a diabolical game as well, but somehow we managed to get results. Obviously, it all culminated in the Brentford and Crystal Palace games where it was a or make or break moment. Whereas this season, it feels at times we huff and puff and we can't blow the house down. Obviously, before the Spurs game, we had a couple of good results, but it wasn't for the want of trying. I just think there's a real lack of quality. So just because we've beefed up the squad doesn't mean that we're any better. We haven't seen Wissa yet, and we've still got players like Ramsey, who Eddie signed, but he doesn't want to use them. So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we're better than last season.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Anybody wants because Becca came here for the Jefferson Win showdown, so I don't know if you want to entertain that.
Well, we're patently everybody. Oh, we're going to beat Burnley on Saturday. We beat Burnley on Saturday. Yeah. We are 2 points better off than we were at the same. We were 5-5-5 last season. We'll be 6-4-5 this season.
Is that anything to shout about, Win, after spending 250 million?
That's 2 point. As you've just said, spending 255 million, of which 100 million hasn't been available virtually, and we've got 130 million back because we were divesting ourselves of what you've just described as the man who can get you 2 goals in a heartbeat. So without Isak and with European football, we could potentially, I'm assuming we're going to win on Saturday, we'll be 2 points better off than we were last season.
But I ask you the question, is that anything to shout about? Are you happy to be where we are currently?
No, and I think we wouldn't be here. Would be a lot better off had we had Wissa and Voltemada available from day one, which we didn't have. So that was 7 points we dropped in the first 3 games. I believe that we would have got had we had Wissa and Voltemada available for those games.
But what about the rest of the points that we made?
And that's not to even mention the whole Livramento situation.
Well, it's not,
with the squad we had, we could afford to lose 1 fullback, but for to lose 2 simultaneously.
Well, somebody's at fault for this then, because somebody didn't sign.
Matt Target go. Why? He let Matt Target go.
Hang on.
He wouldn't have fixed out.
How many people were saying we should have let him go 12 months earlier?
He didn't replace him. I just feel like we make a lot of excuses.
We didn't need to replace him.
Because Villa went on a bad run at the start of the season. They've got their act sorted out. The difference for me is having an elite manager in Emery. The time is ready for an upgrade. I say it again. Brendan Rodgers to Klopp. Yeah, Mark Hughes to Mancini, Ranieri to Mourinho. If we want to go to the next level, it's either you're happy with the standards, the current standards, or you want to get better. History tells you you have to make that change. There is no room for sentiment.
So where do you stand with Arsenal and Arteta then? So
Well,
what Arsenal, a huge swathe of Arsenal fans were after getting rid of Arteta.
He should have been sacked.
After his 4
He
years.
probably should. He probably should have been
years
sacked.
of the project. And
But he probably should have been sacked.
This is a guy who inherited a team which had just won the FA Cup, constantly qualified for Europe.
Hold on. You're justifying Arteta. Nobody's. You can go to Arsenal fan TV for that. I mean, he probably should have been. He probably should have been. He probably should have been sacked. What have they done for you to say?
And they didn't sack him. They stuck with him, and look where they are now.
Where they are now?
He's the best manager in the Premier League.
Have I missed something? Have they won the Champions League or something?
Amaron, the same at Man United. They would have had him gone whenever, a year ago.
I didn't know. I may have missed it. Arsenal winning the Champions League or something. I don't know what they've done other than being where they always are. Are they? I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It took him 9 years. Do we have 9 years to wait?
No, we don't.
Hang on.
1 minute. I disagree. I disagree with Jefferson. I'm sorry, mate, but I'll be honest with you. The whole thing about our team last season was to focus in, home in, and feed Isak. Every player was involved with getting Isak into the game. Lastminute.com, we sold Isak to Liverpool, right? Our pre-season, we were shocking. We were absolutely shocking, right?
We were.
Jacob Murphy was our top scorer pre-season, and he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he shouldn't be playing false nine with Gordon, and then we get a striker that comes in, and I'll tell you now, the strikers come in. Walter Marty's come in. He has scored more goals than Alexander Isak, right? And he's just going to get better and better and better. And
100%.
He's not a striker, though. He's not a
striker.
Wait.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, hello.
No. You can. Well, I'm going to challenge you on that because you can say he's not a striker, but he's scoring goals like a striker. So which one is it? If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, mate. It's not. It's. I don't understand this.
He didn't play striker for Stuttgart. He didn't play striker for Stuttgart. He's a central striker. He's a Dennis Bergkamp role. He plays behind the front man. That's his natural role. We're having him there,
and we haven't had a whistle in front of him.
Which is why when people like Win are the ones criticizing Voltemada. Oh, he didn't play well. Oh, it was his fault when he got an assist, by the way. If you remember, I called in the show. I backed Voltemada because I'm not...
Hang on. You're obviously listening to what Chris is saying I said as opposed to what I said. I've never blamed Voltemada.
Nah, never.
You said we miss sitters. He missed sitters. You said that.
You were blaming him. I watched the show.
And if we don't if we don't finish our dinner, that's why we lost. You said that. So who's at fault, man?
I said that's why we didn't win.
So you keep beating around the bush instead of saying what you really want to say. That's the problem. You keep talking about that. We don't have a striker. You say we don't finish our dinner. You say, and you also said he missed a sitter. So which one is it?
Finish our dinner first half on Tuesday night. We'll win that game comfortably, and we couldn't finish our dinner because we haven't got a striker.
There is.
So who missed it?
Whose fault's that, Win? Whose fault's that?
Oh, it's Eddie's fault for Wissa getting injured.
Eddie and Andy Howe, yeah.
Yeah,
so hold on,
Wissa getting injured in the African Nations.
Let me get Jamie to have it. Calm down.
Why are they signing 29-year-olds? Why are they signing 29-year-olds?
It all comes back to money. Yeah. Sesko went to Man United for money. We went through striker after striker. They won 300 grand a week. And have you looked at the accounts when they come out in April as to how close we sail to the wind? And the stats that I've put up there would say like how much other clubs make compared to us. We cannot give the top strikers the money. So we need to get creative. And if you did replace the manager, that is not going to change. It's absolute fantasy to think that a name manager could make a big player come for 100 grand a week less. That is not the world. It all comes back to that money. We've got to get a 40 million pound player like Tino Livramento and turn him into a 100 million pound player that will probably sell to Man City. We sign Isaac for 60 million. We sell him for 120. We've got to make those gains. And that ain't going to change with a
100%. You know what? I agree with you 100%. I'm going to choose to agree with you. The other twats didn't want to come here. And Ekitiki and all of them didn't want to come here. When we were criticizing, I was one of them. I can't speak for everybody. I was criticizing at the time that we were slow at signing players. People here were saying, wait, we'll get it done. We'll sign the players will come. We waited until the last day, and somebody had to inform Whistle that he didn't sign a paper for it to go through, or else that would have never happened. Why? When we were blaming at the time of what we see what was going wrong, people said, wait, be patient. And now those same people are blaming this season on that particular thing, that we didn't go out there and get our targets in time, that we didn't sign the players we needed to sign in time, because I do agree that if Votamara and Wissa would come in a lot earlier, then maybe they would have been acclimated, maybe they wouldn't get hurt, I don't know. But it's definitely the optimal thing to get the signings with time so they can have a preseason. I also said that at the time.
Right. So you're saying if we'd went at the start of the... No, you're saying if we should have gone at the start of the window and got Waldemar and Wissa instead of trying to get Pedro...
If it's true what Jamie's saying...
Or Ekitiki...
If the club knows...
because that was where they were in the pecking order.
But if the club... Because the club knows the numbers. They know what they can buy or they can't. So we can speculate here. But if it's truly what Jamie's saying...
Doing off.
What Jamie's saying about the club knowing how much money we spent, because we got to wait for the paper to come out. They don't have to do that. They can look at they can get on their app here, Barclays, their bank account, 20 million. They know what they have in their account. Why can't they, just knowing that we need the signings, that Isak is acting up, because that didn't start at the end of the window. That started way before, in the preseason.
And
why can't they just...
It wasn't good.
That's a cock-up, but it's a different argument. What they did, they went round and had a sit-down at Isak's house, I think the day before we played Liverpool. They should have had that sit-down, whoever the decision-makers were, when he didn't want to play at Celtic. They should have said, right, what does it take to make you say nothing? Right, okay, Liverpool, this is how much it is, and had a dialogue then, because that canned the summer. And then they may have got some other targets. It was the handling of the Isak situation was a massive cock-up. I think the board was a bit delulu that they were going to hold on to him when it was clearly his head had gone, and it just took way too long. But that does not alter the fact that any target you go for and say we can give you 200 grand a week and we will pay 75 million for, you're still liable to get gazumped when a club who has twice as much money than you can come in and say, we'll give you 350 grand a week and we'll give your club an extra little sweetener. And you know what? We've got some good players we don't want that you can maybe have on loan and things like that. That's the problem. That's going to be the problem. That's the sort of thing that I want to see Matey, Hopkinson, start acting against by getting more money in. And not by sticking ticket prices up either. Get an NFL game here or something.
Can I, Chris?
Yeah, go on. So, let me get this super chat first, Omri, and then we'll get your take. Okay, sorry about that. Tony says, not attacking you win, but we now need to make up 5 points in games. We didn't get them last season to stand a chance. Win, pick any to prison. So which one did you pick?
Oh, Jefferson, without a doubt.
Okay, well, that's the bias. That's the agenda. So he's going to prison now. But Amrit, go on, mate.
I don't think that's what he meant.
Listen, I can understand what everyone's saying here, but do you agree with me when I'm saying that the whole Isak thing disrupted the start of our season?
Of course it did.
Right.
Of course it did, but what are you going to do about it?
There is that.
Where's the strategy, though? Where's the strategy?
But you're right. Yeah, but okay, right. Forget that. We made a mistake. We've done it. Yeah, we're moving forward. But you look at the likes of Delap, Pedro, Sesko, with exception with exception to Ekitike, because he's done quite all right. But not all of them are performing on all guns. We signed a striker, Walter Mardy, and obviously Eddie Howe's done his business on Walter Mardy, right? He's made him, and I think he's made him already into a better player. I saw him for Germany the other day, and he was out and out pointing to where he wanted the ball, and he slotted it in. Right? Am I right or wrong? Yeah.
Eddie Howe has made him a better player.
Wait for that. He's gonna make him even better, Jefferson. I'll tell you that for a fine fact.
Eddie Howe.
No. Wait. Eddie Howe, and this is the other point. If Eddie Howe left Newcastle today, right, and Pep Guardiola decided to retire this season, I guarantee you get the Man City job. I guarantee you'd walk into any club. Wait. Eddie Howe is one of the best managers in the world. Okay?
He should go to jail for that. Come on.
Put me in jail. Come on. I'm happy to
come
go
on.
Hey, I think not even Win will back you on that, man. But
Will back me on that. Listen, who is going to replace Eddie Howe and do a better job than Eddie Howe?
Yeah. Well, we don't know.
Go around. Tell me, is it Mourinho with his defensive play? No, it's not. There's no one going to replace Eddie Howe.
There's no one. So, let's go back to the Nick Voltemade situation. Number one, it's too early to even tell if he's made him better. But just to clarify, right?
He didn't. He came in and go score, man.
He. The reason we bought him was because he was already good, and he scored quite a few goals for Stuttgart, right?
Of course.
He was the star of the under-21 tournament. I believe he was the top scorer. Right,
for Germany.
So he's no mug. There's a reason we paid.
Of course, he's not.
It's not
and
like
to me,
Eddie's turned him into some.
Nah, don't believe that crap,
like
man.
18 months time or something, I'd be like, fair enough. But
But listen,
he's not into a better striker as well. I'll tell you.
Well, that actually, I would agree that he discovered. I mean, he's got to have the talent, obviously, but he did the you could say with time. But Walter Mardy literally came in and scored, man. Yeah, so I mean, I don't believe that. And by the way, to me, he is a striker. He can play as a 10, a striker, whatever. He can play whatever, but he is a striker if you want him to be. So, and he was bought to be the replacement for Isak. The other guy was bought to be the replacement for Callum Wilson. So, Wissa. So let's not forget that. We spent all the money, record money for Walter Mara. And by the way, in Germany, one of the greatest national teams ever in football, he is the center forward. He is the main man, and they give him the ball, and he scores. So
he is now. He wasn't then.
Of course
he is now.
He's 23, man.
You say that, right? But Eddie is going to
2 secs, guys. Super chats.
Yeah.
Was I saying when you said Jamie was a West Ender? He's got all levels.
Hang on, I've got GCSEs. All people have all levels.
There you go.
Becca, no way Jefferson should be in deal. No bloody way. The man talks so much sense.
Thank you, Becca.
How much wine you have?
Becca's got to come out, and then Queenie's in with another. There you go. With another free Jefferson. I stand by truth and justice.
Can we do an Uno reverse? Can we do an Uno reverse and then?
Well, you can choose who goes to jail now. How about that?
You know, I'll give Jamie a bly, right? I'm gonna go with Win because he's my arch nemesis. You know what I mean? This is like a Professor X and Magneto.
That's right. Oh, JKO's in the chat. Jefferson's in his own chat. Thanks, Becca and Queenie.
There you go.
You got to schmooze or you lose. You know what I mean?
At least we decorated it. But fellas, it is clear and evident that I was pointing it out in the beginning of the transfer window. Well, you reap what you sow, man. You reap what you sow, and there were some people telling me, some people in this panel in particular, that I needed to wait and just not be a bad waiter. I don't classify in either or, but it clearly is evident that now we are reaping what we sown at the time, and but we gotta now we can't dwell on it. We can't sign anybody. We can't sell anybody. So we gotta get it done. But you gotta think about it as well. By this time, I mean, we should be playing better. So they didn't have the preseason, but man, come on, man. We shouldn't be where we're at. We shouldn't be where we're at.
Fortune's been bad though, hasn't it, Chris? Like we've
Oh, here we go with Fortune, though, I'm right, man.
Lastminute.com and all the rest of it.
Well, how is that luck? How is that luck? If it's overtime, it's a pattern. Somebody has to be held accountable.
Out. Free win immediately, Jordy. Dan, thank you.
The Colties are coming up clutch for win. Look at this. He's like he's got an army. He's got an army, man.
You've got yourself out.
You're kidding.
Hey.
You can do that in Monopoly, can't you? Lay 50 quid down and buy your way out of jail.
I know, man. But put people in jail, buy people out of jail. Listen, one thing that's important, though, before we jump on the game, is that about this article, that one quote was, he said, but we're going to be at the current St. James's Park in its current form for years to come. What does that mean? I mean, that probably means that until 2030, we ain't going to get nothing. No new stadium.
Maybe
so
exactly what it means.
No, but if we get an expansion, you better forget about a new stadium. That ain't going to happen. Jamie, you got something to say about that?
Well, I think you're right, yeah. Unless it's something pretty minor, which you probably couldn't do, it's just a waste of money, isn't it? I remember when they built it, sound like the old guy up there, don't I? But I remember when they built it as it is now, and they used to just throw another tier on across the summer. So they could build it up in between seasons, but I can't see it being that difference maker that I talked about earlier. You know how the Tottenham ground has NFL, it has big concerts for artists like Beyonce, it has that bloody go-karting track, it has WWE, it has all these huge events. And that brings tourism and that brings money and that kind of grows the club's name and that's what we need. And I don't think you can do that with the limitations on the ground there. I'm sure they can make it look great and put some mod cons on it and stuff, but I think that's the way that he's hinting towards, isn't it? Is anyone else reading his comments that way, that he's hinting on that they're going to look to spruce up St. James?
Well, they might have to do something because of the Euros as well. They might have to touch it up to where they maybe fit more people or something like that.
They can't change it before the Euros because those ground specs have been they're part of the bid.
But
you can touch it up.
If you wanted to improve it, the only rule is you can't have building work going on for up to 6 months before the Euros starts.
Exactly.
So if they could do something, what's it, 2028? So you're talking they'd have to do
28.
They'd have to do something in the next 2 years. You could put an extra 10,000 seats on the Gallagher in that time.
You went on this meeting with some fans, bashing international fans. What was it said there, in that meeting that you went to with not too long ago? Yesterday, I think, right? Yesterday.
Is that why you wanted a picture of him printed out in 25 darts?
Yeah. That's right. So, what was it more or less? Thank you, Jordy, then for the.
What it was that one of the major concerns of fans in every survey that the club have done, and they've done dozens now since PIF came in. One of the major concerns was season ticket allocation, and specifically a season ticket waiting list. And is there a waiting list? Are you proposing to have a waiting list? How many people are on it? If there is a one, how is it decided who goes to the top of the waiting list and all that? So that was the main thing. The seminar was all about season tickets. And believe it or not, there are 150 available right now, ready to go. And the reason that they're selling them on a week by week basis, the reason they're not allocating them now is because they want to go through this whole process to find out what people think is the fairest way to do it. Now, they came up with their kind of their preferred system, and their preferred system.
Which they're going to do, by the way, if that's what they prefer.
Are they going to do it? Because, and the other thing people were asking for was clarity and transparency on the whole thing. Not just with regard to season tickets, but with regard to the ballots and match tickets and everything. How many tickets are actually available? How many tickets go into the ballot? How many people apply for the ballot? All of those sorts of things. They were all involved as well. So the way they are proposing to do it right now is that MAG's members who have been members for 2 years plus and who have applied for at least 50% of the ballots, they go into category 1. MAG's members who've been members for 2 years, regardless of whether they've applied for any of the ballots, they go in level 2. Level 3 is 1 year and 50% plus application for ballots. Then 1 year membership without the requisite number of ballot applications. And finally, category 5, all new MAG's members. So the first thing there was, to have any chance of getting on any waiting list, you've got to be a member.
Well, no doubt about it. I think that's fair.
They've currently got, according to the Fan Advisory Board, the figures that they've been given from the club, between 90,000 and 100,000 members. So that's £5.5 million a season they're taking from members. And the idea that they're going to give that up by...
Well, why would they give it up, though? Well, because they're season
because the other thing was, with regard to
yeah, but how many
the
season
ballots,
tickets are going to be?
With regard to the ballots, how many members are there applying in the ballots, and how many tickets per game?
Not everyone wants a season ticket, do they? I mean, like,
well,
not
that's true as
everyone
well. Could
afford it. I mean, like Chris, for example, you're not going to fly over from Kissing Cousins, Missouri every home game, are you? You know.
Surprisingly, and I told Win, because Win is against international fans, because there's a lot of international fans that have season tickets now, and I probably would get one because I see it as a future investment for my kids, you know, so they can potentially be involved and be there and all that stuff, just like you did with your kid. Yeah, he lives there, of course, but he falls asleep.
I live 3 miles away. Your investment on your kids would be to do
that investment is not really an investment. It's a luxury thing. It's a vanity thing, obviously. So, I would do it. I wouldn't oppose to it. But a lot of people wouldn't. If 90% of international fans wouldn't do it because it wouldn't make sense to them. But everybody's situation is not the same. You know, there will be people in Newcastle that can't afford it, period, no matter if they live next to the stadium. So, you know, it's a personal choice, in my opinion. But
that was one of the other things I was most unpopular, surprise, by saying that, you know, market forces will prevail. When supply exceeds demand, what happens? The price goes up. And that's what will happen. The prices will rise till they eventually find their level. And as we know, well, I firmly believe in Newcastle, those prices would have to be, you know, totally unaffordable before every ticket wouldn't be taken up. And they know that. And
that's inflation.
That is going to happen. Actually, I think
it's
tickets now are so cheap.
It's supply and demand. It's basic economics.
Tickets now are so cheap. But
and by the way, if we want to be an elite, top, worldwide club, you've got to have that revenue to get the players on the pitch to do it.
And to be fair,
it's tough, you know. But the bottom line is, as I've said many times, I would like a Maserati, but I can't afford one.
Well, that's true. I agree with that. But like even for, because we're talking about
if a season ticket suddenly becomes $3,000 a year or whatever, I'll not be able to afford that. So that's tough titty, and I'll have no hard feelings about anybody
Oh,
Who
yeah, you
takes
will.
my
Stop
seat
lying.
on? Who is prepared to pay the price?
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. I'll take your ticket and leave Derek Platt in there just to make fun of you. Take a picture of every match. But no, because I was thinking you were talking about it in the individual sense, but like I've thought of the tickets that you buy as a company, because now we are in a situation where thank goodness for the viewers, we are in a position where we're growing and growing and growing. I would like to do live matches from the stadium. Obviously, a lot of people have these tickets that even Wynn's buddy has. Company that buys tickets, etc. They're we're in an interesting position, but are those even available? Did you guys even ask about corporate tickets? Because a lot of people had that fear, and they look at it as a fear that a lot of them will be corporate anyway. When they come available.
Corporate tickets are available for almost every match still.
No, I'm sorry. Talking about like for a company to buy, like say you buy 5 tickets to have them, so they give it out to the employees or
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking.
That wasn't a subject that was broached anyway, but I don't think
it wasn't. What do you mean it's not going to happen? That's a big, a massive way of how they're going to make their money. Matter of fact, when we were talking about the new stadium, that's selling it to business is much more reliable than selling it to an individual, mate. With all due respect.
Unfortunately, that is spot on. I think, like, if you look at all the modern stadiums, they've kind of got a strip right around the middle that's pure corporate. And you've got boxes and you've got corporate seating, and that is big bucks. That's why I object to the price of normal tickets going up, because, those guys can supplement things a lot more than the likes of us can. Although I do accept inflation's a thing.
Yeah. Super chats here quickly. Warren says, banker totaled, I'm not sure I'm supposed to read that. Whatever's going on, I don't know. Waza can be dodgy at times. And my Geordie is not up to match at times, so I don't know. But anyway, that's a comment. Thank you very much for it.
Beyond my ken, that.
What's a jaff?
I don't even know what's a jaff. Yeah. But Boki says, free the king. Only the ex-prince should be in jail. So he's freed already. I freed him.
Boki's freed, Amrit.
He was also freed by Jody Dan's membership thing. Thank you very much for being a member for 16 months. Jordy Den. Also, thank you to Mighty Mac for being a member for 20+ months. We didn't see it at the time. They're not easy to see when we were having a chat, but shout out to Mighty Mac. And Warren says, Jamie is from Gosford. By the sounds of him. There you go. By the sounds of him. You guys sound different between I don't even know, like inner cities or something. I don't know. Unbelievable, man. But there you go. So that's an interesting point, though, lads. I mean, I'm sure you would like a season ticket as well. Would you be interested? Huh? You're muted, man. Your mic ain't working. Your mic is not miking. Jefferson,
Don't even start me off about season tickets, right? I chucked my season ticket mid-season.
There you go.
During the end of Alan Pardew.
Oh wow!
And I.
You did that?
I did that. Yeah.
We were fit. I know. I don't know. We were fit that day.
No.
We were knackered. Yeah, we were knackered.
We were knackered, and it was because it wasn't because of I love Alan Pardew. Alan, if you're listening, you're the best guy in the world. But I'll be honest with you, he was a great manager. But I had enough of Ashley, and
that's a bit quick though, man.
And now I'm scuppering around trying to know everyone. I luckily got corporate the other day, which was nice. But yeah, no, it's
knackered.
It's one of those, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. Jefferson, I'm curious to know, you're in London, you're a rich man, and you live where the footballers live. So, would you be interested if you were in London? Listen, you have to do a bit of traveling, but you're a fan, so everybody should be, in the mix to get a ticket if they could afford it and they can get it. Would you be interested?
Yeah, I mean that would be stuff of dreams, to be honest. Unfortunately, I don't live locally enough. And yeah, the traveling would be a killer. But I think the kicker for me would be obviously, when I have a kid, because I'd like to be like D-Man, taking my kid to the game. But at the moment, I know that I've got, because there's so many Premier League teams in London, you know, I can watch the boys, you know, when they're away. Obviously, ideally, I'd love to. I haven't been to St James's for a long time. But yeah, I think a season ticket would be a luxury for me at this point. But maybe in the future. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why should your opportunities be closed just because old, local Newcastle fans don't want any fan to get a ticket? Because I tell you what, the club.
Because the second biggest thing on the agenda yesterday was, because obviously the club did that spiel, including that whole hierarchy formation thing, and then it was opened up to what do you think would be. There were three categories: influencing factors for placement on the waiting list, and the second biggest.
If anyone subscribes to the Calm app, just cancel your subscription, because this will get you off tonight. This will get you to sleep. You don't need
we went on winter. We got to talk about Burnley, by the way, if you didn't know that.
The second biggest factor that that dozens of people on all the different tables were putting forward was that fans who gave their tickets up under the Ashley regime, who had a historically proven
what was your answer?
Record of having been season ticket holders for like 25 years prior to chucking it.
And what was the answer, man? I can't wait to hear this.
It was, don't hold your breath. Prove that we're wangers.
I told you, man. First of all, a lot of those, because you don't know the true reason. A lot of people didn't have money. Surely the club didn't help. But, also during the Ashley times and when nobody had, you could buy season tickets on Black Friday sale, basically. A lot of international fans bought tickets, knowing they couldn't go every game. They gave it away to local fans and did all that stuff. The club didn't say no to their money. They said that American dollars is just as green as the pounds, so they didn't discriminate then. So why would they do it now? A lot of them people gave up the tickets for their own reasons, and Amrit says because of Ashley. That's fine.
That's wrong. We need to. Our loyalty points should be there. Like, I paid money to freeze my
wins loyalty points.
Freeze
like when Methuselah was alive, man.
Every single time to watch us get beat 2-0. 2-0.
Sadly, there weren't any loyalty points then.
Okay. That was the time. The only one that's scamming the club for loyalty points is Jamie, because he's got 5,000 of them, and nobody knows how.
I paid me damn dues for them.
I know who you're paying. Your the IT department. That's who you're paying.
I tell you what, if you want to spend 3 days before Christmas in Bradford watching us lose 2-0 to Bradford City, do it, because I've done that, and that was not a high point in my life.
But no, you're right though. But you know what's crazy? That the club, I think, should focus on as well. And I know that's not going to be popular, I believe, because the old heads. But you got a young kid. Win ain't got nothing to live for. But you got a young kid, man. And how your kid is fortunate that you thought that you had a thought about him. But for example, you got a daughter who probably ain't even interested. But at the end of the day, might have a son. But come on, man. Might have a son. You have so. When is the club going to invest in thinking, look, the young lads, what chance do they have to go to an away game? Now.
That was raised.
What about the young Barons that are trying to become the fit? Because that's the future, man. Those are the ones that got the money. So go and win. How did you belittle and keep the young kids down?
No, all I'm saying is that was one of the items that was brought up last night regarding kids and family members. Because one of the problems at the minute, but this is going to backfire, you see, because the problem at the minute is, in the family enclosure, when your kid comes of age, becomes 18 or 16, I can't remember which they said. They can't. You can't then have the 2 seats in the family enclosure, so they have to find a different 2 seats somewhere else.
I think that's what Jamie.
And this relies on basically, they termed it natural wastage, which is people dying who don't who don't bequeath their, because this is the other thing we found out, you can bequeath your season ticket.
Yeah, of course you can.
In your will.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I
So
know.
you-
Hey,
Well,
Win. Hey, Win, I love you, man. I love you with all my heart, dog. You're my guy, man. I love you, man.
You know what though? You're
You
kind of
are.
nailing it here. This is the point, because every ticket is, you can transfer it. So like if you come over here, we'll get you in. Jeff will comes up, we can get him
Yeah,
in.
we
because
get
he
you in,
knows
man.
all. So
We're gonna put you with
know,
them on the away end, but
that's it. Like, there's a way of transferring all the tickets. I've had my son to an away game because for a while you couldn't transfer away tickets, but they introduced a system where you could. I had to buy the tickets as me and my friend, and then transfer it to him at the last minute because my friend was ill. But so you can do it that way, and like the connections will always be there. What they need to do is not be draconian on those measures, because they're starting to say things like you can only transfer your ticket 10 times a season. If you do it anymore, they'll take it off you.
You lose your loyalty points.
And I think if you're selling it on sites and stuff, you should lose it straight away. You know.
Yeah,
But if
and
you
that's exact. Well, that was another thing that was brought up. But the fact that there's 150 tickets available right now, season tickets, is a direct result of that Dundee school fiasco.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much goodwill they're better buy with 150 tickets.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, and by the way, who has got the power to allocate them? Because that's some clout, that.
And
Well,
how
that's
many
gotta be
people
the
did you
CEO.
say were on? How many people did you say had membership?
100,000.
Between 90 and 100,000 paying members.
Wow.
Right, okay, let's call that 95,000.
Oh, wow. +1, because I became a member at the beginning of the month, by the way, Win.
So you've got 0.15% of getting one of those tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And
I mean,
but also, as far as the
Newcastle.
ballots, the reason that was put forward for the club not being transparent about the number of tickets in each ballot and the number of applications in each ballot, beyond very broad stroke figures that 23% of applications are successful.
Uh-huh.
The apparently but I got a figure which I was quite surprised at. How many tickets per match do you think go in the ballot?
20,000.
8,000.
I think 30,000. I thought it was
Spot on,
5.
Jamie. Between 7 and 10.
Wow.
That's nothing compared to how many people want to get on, man.
And that's why
it's
why we
knackering,
don't
man.
get tickets. I'll just go back to what Win was saying about what you were saying, Chris, about children. I'll vouch for Win. He's done a good job with his eldest, who is a diehard Newcastle fan, isn't he? Shout out to my friend Chris.
One of the ultras.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
One of the ultras.
He's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. A really good guy.
Yeah. All right. So, well, that's the ticket situation. You know, we shall see. We shall see.
Who
what
won't
happens
come on
with
the channel, by the way, because he doesn't want to converse with a bozo.
No, listen. I really like Chris, his son, especially after he's gonna give me his ticket to get onto the game. And but he doesn't like me. That's fine. No, he doesn't. But me and his daddy clash. But I do love Win with all my heart. You know. But he's a numpty, man. We can't just. You know, it is what it is. But the good thing is he's genuine. He really means what he says, which is even insane. That's why his medication. You went to the hospital the other day, man. Stop smoking, man. I'm telling you, you're gonna be, as long as you got. I need to get that will sorted, so you know, Then you can keep smoking, chain smoking if you want to. But let's talk about.
Hey,
Can I ask you a
Go on.
question?
that's my ticket.
No, I'm resisting. Go on,
Can
Jeff.
I ask you a question? Random question. You talked about dollars earlier. So when you come to the UK, does it feel weird not to tip, or do you automatically want to tip, or are you like,
Well, no, you
I'm rich now,
automatically want to, but you start the cheapness and the tightness of English folks start rubbing off, and you start forgetting about it. And like, oh man, nobody's tipping. I ain't gonna tip.
Says the bloke who will not even get his round in.
Hey man, all you gotta do is ask for the card.
Right. Jefferson, when he was over here, I saw him drop £1 at one point. He bent over to pick it up and it hit him on the back of the head.
Hey man, all you gotta do, Amri asked me for the card, I gave him the card, and he took care of business, man. You just gotta ask, man. You just gotta. And when you get to the two, listen, man, I went to his pub, the Wynn's pub, that he been going there since him and Methuselah was drinking together back in the day, making rum together, you know, and this bloke who also goes there in the same pub didn't even talk to him ever. When I went in there, the old bloke came in and he told me, I recognize you, I'll buy you a pint. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And he had seen Wynn 20 million every day. He never spoke a word to him. So when the American guy comes to Toon, you know, so people buy him a pint. So nothing I can do about it, mate. Nothing I can do about it.
I'll make you a celebrity overnight.
It's not that we are tight in this country. It's that with people working, people are decent living.
There you go. I don't know about that. In the Northeast, man, people are not good, man. They told me, what was it, like 20,000, 30,000 is like a regular salary, like a normal living amount per year. Like here in America, man, that's not it. You
average British salary, isn't it? Something like
but
that.
British, like the whole of England.
28.
28.
Damn. But the money's
the
worth a lot
majority
more, you know. You got to remember that.
But you're right. You got pounds as well. That's true. That's true. Folks, let's talk about Burnley, and we're gonna beat Burnley, are we? I mean, but that's not because people are gonna be happy. Win is gonna happy clapping, the champagne and all that. But reality comes after that because you got Chelsea. That's interesting because Win says, you know, what we got to do is go on a 9-win game run. Perfect. We can do that. You know, it's still gonna be a bad season, really, but because you can't live 100 miles per hour, man. You're gonna rank at some point. But let's talk about that 9-game winning run. Repeat what happened last season. But look at the matches, man. Can we do that? Can we really do that? I mean, Chelsea, the Mackhams. We beat Man City, so I guess you can say it could happen, but that's one time.
Hey, the Mackhams beat Chelsea, man.
I know. So what makes you think that we can beat the Mackhams? We're going to play them.
Because I've watched them play.
We need to sign more African players.
Well, I've said that all along. I said that earlier on in the show.
Yeah.
Preferably Ghanaians.
Forget about going to South America, go to Africa. You know.
Oh, no, you never forget about South America. You're going to win the World Cup. Don't do that to South America, man.
What about
you? Oh yeah, no, we're not good.
We are not good.
Yeah, no, man. You guys got the Premier League Indian. No, what is that? The Premier League? It's called the Premier League, right? As well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, but no, you guys got another
cricket,
sport.
The Indian Premier League's cricket.
Well, you guys got cricket, man.
I'm going over on the 18th.
I know, man.
I'm starting for Delhi FC on the 20th.
There you go. He's messing around. But we got Leverkusen, so we got Burnley. We're gonna beat Burnley, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, man. Shall I go first on this one?
If we don't beat Burnley, though.
Shall I go first on this one, Chris? I'll tell you now. Burnley are the whipping boys of the Premier League right now. Okay? Let's beat around the bush. I've had Debbie McGee give me a few notes here, but looking at them, they're 19th in the Premier League. They've had 5 consecutive league losses. All right? They are the lowest scorer in the Premier League. Scott Parker, ex-Newcastle, is a manager that's under a lot of stress. Yep. And yeah, like I say, 19th. The fixture looks good. So if we compare the recent form, Burnley have had 5 straight defeats. We've had 3 wins, 1 draw in the last 4. Goals, they're the lowest goal scorers. Burnley, we're averaging at least 2 goals per game at home. Confidence, manager is under pressure. We are strong at home and we have attacking depth. Like, let's be honest with you, it's going to be 2-0, 3-1, 4-0. It could be 6-0. It could be more than that. That's my take on it. Like,
thank you, WhatsApp, for the super chat. We need more Chinese. Chinese are the new African. Chinese what, players? Well, they were talking about Asian players.
Well, that's, again, you look at the population. They're coming through in every other sport. It's just a matter of time before they come through in football for me.
Well, we had this,
and what a market to be going in.
Oh, a super chat. Is that what you're talking about? A super chat. King Singh, you're my ginseng. You're my ginseng. You give me love and soul. There you go. There you go, mate. So Burnley, then, guys. I mean, we're gonna beat them, but I mean, I guess we do need the 3 points.
Jefferson will say that didn't count.
It's false.
Well, it counts for 3 points. It counts for 3 points.
False narratives. It's like saying Gordon's had a great season because he's been scoring penalties. We know that's a load of rubbish. So, yeah. Listen, the only surprise has been Man City, isn't it? The other games, you'd argue, based on what we spent and the squad we have, we should be winning those games. We've been below our standards expected. So, yeah, a win for Burnley. But like you say, the tougher tests are to come. Let's see. Let's see how we do.
I mean, you got Leverkusen. I mean, you should win that game. But I think to be honest, I think we should rest most players for Burnley at home.
Wow.
Because you got Leverkusen, who you really kind of now start not need, but you kind of need to get points because you need something in Leverkusen, although it's away. But and then you got the Mackhams, and then there's no rest. There's no rest. Best players on the pitch every game. I mean, you got the EFL Cup again, must win, because you're eliminated by Fulham. That's not going to fly by. That's not going to fly. So win.
Here's the thing I'll say again, which I said before, the Marseille game, which was the most important game, Marseille or Everton. And I was shouted down. Everybody was saying Everton thread the league, gotta get.
But it is important.
But no, for me, Marseille was the most.
No.
The Leverkusen game coming up proves now why, which is the most important game.
Yeah, but
Leverkusen are the Mackhams.
But win. We could have won Marseille. We cooked it up. That has nothing to do with Marseille. We gave it away. So we had it. As many games this season, we had it. We were winning it. We got it. Yeah. We gave it away. That has nothing to do with rotation. Nothing to do with rotation. I guess my point, Jamie.
I will take an absolute Mia Khalifa level pounding in Leverkusen if it means we beat the Mackhams. I'm sorry, that is the biggest game that week. And
100%.
Well, and it involves Premier League though, and that's a big deal as well because we do need points there. Aside from obviously the derby, But that's why against Burnley, when I say rotate, I'm not talking about Marseille rotate, which you played some good. I'm talking about rotate. I'm talking about rotate. So I mean, we should be able. Come on, man, we should be able to beat Burnley with a very weak team, a weaker team.
Sean Neve up front.
No. Listen, we need to win this game. All right, we need somebody that's going to take it over the line, not somebody that's not match fit. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you put Gordon in.
So you've got to put a few of our senior players in.
Yeah,
put Ramsey in, put Miley in, whatever. Willock, Usula maybe, whatever. But
I don't know if he's back. Usula's not going to be back though.
He's not going to be back. Oh, sorry. Okay, fair.
Hey, Wiss's fit. Put Wissa in there.
Wiss's not fit yet.
He is, man, because he did an article for TalkSport doing how he gave up all the money.
Now.
So he gave up all his life saving for Newcastle. So they're doing that because the media knows he's going to play. So
Eddie's not sure about Wissa currently. He doesn't want to bring him back too early. He's got to protect.
That would be standard Eddie, but I think
but we ain't got time for that. We ain't got time for that, Win. You're about to say that, aren't you? We don't have time for that. You agree with me?
I probably wouldn't start him on his first game back, though. I'd probably.
I don't think he'll start.
Yeah.
But maybe you can do
be on the bench.
Yeah, that's what I would.
He's got to play. I would say if Voltemata starts, all right, whatever. But he just halftime.
Yeah.
And then he's got to. Then Wissa has to come on, and then Shar. You can put Burn there, or Botman's not ready though. I don't think yet. I'm not sure 100% yet. But you can put Shar in there. I wouldn't play both wing backs. I would definitely do Kraft.
Alex Murphy and Kraft, maybe.
Yeah.
But I will throw my remote off the TV if Eddie plays Gordon as a false 9.
Jesus.
I've had enough of that.
Well, listen.
I've had enough of that.
Yeah. I mean, you are right. But again, against Burnley, sure. But I don't know because Aguilanga.
Through the middle.
He's not a number 9.
Got pace. Yeah,
but we should be able to beat them.
Elanga starts, in my opinion. Elanga starts. Like he had a rest the other day. He didn't. We played Murphy, and yeah, in my opinion, Elanga starts.
It's an interesting point about Tony says. Tony, Christina, people talk as if the derby is PowerPoint's game worth 6 points. No, it isn't. But the ramifications, the consequences of losing that game in a bad way, losing that game like we did Marseille, for example, or like we did giving up the lead against Tottenham, it will have an impact on Eddie Howe like he's never seen before. He's never seen before. This type of impact. It will have a repercussion. It will have you ain't got a clue singing around St. James's Park like you have never seen the next week. So Wynn is afraid of this game. Although he's saying it's just another regular game, he is afraid of this game. Because if we were to lose this game...
I'm not afraid of this game one little bit.
If we lose this game badly, Wynn, you will... I'm telling you, you will stand by yourself, man. Even Helsuzar, Happy Clapper, and Vice President, he's told you already. That's it. And that's what the consequences for this game, I'm telling you, it's not going to be good, man.
This is why I tell you, all the derbies we've been to, I know. All the derbies we've been to in the past, Chris, and I used to come out, I used to physically feel sick when going to these games. It wasn't enjoyable games for me. Like the night before, you're thinking, oh man, listen, these guys are going to the AFCON. There's some amazing.
I think that's after the derby.
Yeah.
It is, but they are going to AFCON the day after. Then what you got to remember is that in the back of their mind they're thinking, oh, if I get injured today, I'm not going to AFCON. Yeah, and AFCON is the second most.
Well, we want that anyway.
It is the second most biggest tournament worldwide ever, bar the World Cup. And
relax, man. Relax, man. No. That's just a number, man. It's the World Cup.
What do you mean?
Euros and the Copa America, and then you can start naming. Relax, man. Behave, you.
I'm sorry. Listen, don't start. Right? AFCON is the second biggest nation tournament.
Are you talking about biggest in size? Oh yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, Africa is a huge continent, so but that has nothing to do with. But that has nothing to do.
Bigger. You name it. It's just after the World Cup, it's the biggest tournament.
Well, I think the way you're saying it makes it seem like this is the most, I don't know, prestigious tournament, and it isn't. With all due respect to my African, I love my African Michael Essien, Souley Ali Muntari. I love my Eto, George Weah. Well,
it is the second biggest tournament in the world. Okay,
the more you say, ain't gonna make it right. It ain't gonna make it true, man. So
picking up though, Amrit's point is that they're going to be on tenterhooks.
Yeah, they will.
But for them, it's gonna be it. Yeah.
Quick, whoever's doing a watch along on Saturday, if you keep half an eye on Sunderland's game at Man City, in the centre of the park for Sunderland, they've got Granit Xhaka, who's probably been their player of the season, and some muggins called Siddiqui. Both those guys are one yellow card away from a suspension. So if you keep half an eye on that Man City Sunderland game, whenever, I think that's a 3 o'clock kickoff as well, isn't it? If those two get a yellow card, they have lost their entire midfield. And I feel like a bit of a pathetic wanker that I'm hoping that Mackems get suspended, so we don't have to fear.
Prove that we're wankers.
But it would help matters a lot, especially if Xhaka got suspended. So want to keep an
That
eye
is
on
true.
him.
But also, I heard that Bruno and Joe Linton and Burn are on the verge as well.
No, none of them are.
No,
but that's what
I checked it all out.
Okay.
I think people
well,
just assume Joe Linton's about to be suspended because he probably should be most of the time.
Okay, that's good. That's good to clarify. But it's gonna be very important, man. I'm telling you, man, that game is gonna be that. To me, that's gonna. I believe that's gonna be my threshold. So we shall see about that in particular.
There is one thing though, Chris. When you remember this, it doesn't matter who we face. The Sunderland Newcastle game is like a cup final. Every time we play, it's like a cup final.
Oh, there'll be the atmosphere. Like, with all due respect, I know we got really the greatest atmosphere, really. I think in England, but I'm telling you, that atmosphere over there is not going to be any joke. And I don't know that these players can handle that.
So this is my study, and behind me, I've got it blurred today, but behind me are a number of memories that we've got. I've got a memory downstairs where we took a team photograph at the Stadium of Light when we won the last time we were there. Was it the FA Cup or was it the Carabao? It was the FA, I think.
FA Cup.
Yeah, it was the FA Cup. And that is one of my most favourite photographs because it feels so good. And they've given us a lot of hurt. Paolo Di Canio back in the day and all the rest of it.
I did. This is how much the tension is behind the scenes, if you will. Or I look at it this way. Because again, many people want to sugarcoat it. You know how it goes, the agenda. But I was asked to send a video question for Fabian Schär, who's going to do an interview for the Premier League for the Mackham game, for the derby. And I sent my question. You got to type it, of course, and then you send it to the producers. I sent my question because I wanted to ask a direct question. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up here. I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to pull it up so I can exactly read verbatim. Who's this guy's name? Oh, there we go. I can't say it. But I sent the question because I asked when, I know how things is going right now, so they're not going to let me ask a proper question. So what do you think? Just to get it out of the way, what do you think? And Win sent me this, what did you say something about center backs playing the competition and so on? I'm like, they're not going to answer that, man. They're not going to allow that. Anyway, so I just go with my own question, which I didn't think it was any better, to be honest. Maybe a little better. But I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it and see what it would be. Here, let me look for it. Okay,
I've seen episodes of Columbo where you get to the question quicker than this.
I got it to the question. I got the question now. I had to scroll back, man. Premier League producers are talking to the American Mag, man. I got to scroll back. So the question is, our current form is far from ideal at the moment, especially away from home. What message would you like to share with the fans who support you and the team week in, week out? And he was like, mate, this is a bit controversial, man. They won't push this through, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not really that controversial. It's a regular question, but that's what the tension is right now in the behind the scenes. So I said, so what kind of question you want? And he's like, just something, for the media. And I was like, man, all right. So I sent a question about, playing for Newcastle, and even they had to kind of adjust that into basically, I won't say the question, just so I keep it, so we'll upload it, But it's about retirement, playing for Newcastle for 8 years, blah, 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 and about the fans, and really a memorable moment or something like that. But that's really where we're at, man. You can sugarcoat it all you want to, but you can't really. They don't want to get involved in stuff like that. They don't want to entertain asking these tough questions. And that's what that Mackham game, bro. Win, you ain't got a clue, man. You ain't got a clue, man. That Mackham game ain't no joke right now, man.
Super chat, what they're saying, Afro-Con is boring. I'd rather watch the Lionesses.
Yeah, because he's probably going to be perfect, isn't he?
And
King
Swing,
he
probably is.
Not only that, though, some of the most exciting games that you watch internationally is in the AFCON. The pace of the football is crazy.
The magic
better
story, David Haller Sebastian Haller. That was probably one of the best stories, wasn't it?
Here's one.
Recovering from cancer to coming back to winning, and everybody's seen how like Ivory Coast have been the best team year on year and had choked, and then they finally did it, and you know a lot of neutrals back them, you know.
Yeah. Before we finish off the show, I do got an important message. Shaka Hislop, he played for the Toon, goalkeeper for a long time. He shared a bit of his news as far as being diagnosed with prostate cancer. So let's take a listen because I think it's important to watch this.
I have a story to tell. Roughly 18 months ago, I went for my annual physical and insisted on a PSA test, as I always do. This time around, though, my PSA was elevated. An MRI and biopsy quickly determined that I had a fairly aggressive prostate cancer. A year ago, almost to the day, December 6th to be exact, I had a radical prostatectomy, and I thought that was it. But then, 6 months later, my PSA was again on the rise, and another scan showed that my prostate cancer had spread to my pelvic bone. I started on medication pretty soon after, and just this morning completed 7.5 weeks of radiation therapy. The journey continues. But doctors recommend that all men over the age of 50 get their PSA checked regularly. If you're of African descent, that age drops to 40. If you're somewhere like the UK or somewhere else that PSA tests aren't encouraged, you have got to insist. And having a history of cancer in your family doesn't matter. I had genetic testing done, and they showed no traits in my family, yet this year would show that, without going into too much detail, that even that didn't exclude everybody in my immediate
family, he said, I think. Oh, there we go.
Family. And now, the highest rate of prostate cancer mortality is in Caribbean men. So if you allow me to speak to my community, my people, please go get tested. Know your PSA, track its history. Prostate cancer is survivable if caught early enough. There are treatments for it. Testing saves lives. It saved mine.
There you go. Shaka Hislop, goalkeeper for Toon, back in the late 90s, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Let's speak to our medical expert. So, you know, if you have a blood test taken,
yep,
yeah, you can see that.
Do they only specifically look at certain things that they're being asked to look at, or is that PSA level something that would be routinely examined?
Very good question, Derek. Very good question. It depends on what you're going in for. So if they ask for a full screen, they will test everything. They will test your liver function, your kidney function, everything that goes. If you're over a certain age, they will include PSA as well. Now, what was really interesting about what he said there was that he had no familial.
He has no familiar, no generic
and
hereditary history.
And he got genetic testing done, is what he said, and it said that none of them indicated that was the case. So he is very, very unlucky and very, very
lucky as well because he got it in time.
Got it in time, yeah. Well, they say that, but it's from what I hear, it's moved to the pelvic bone, which is again going to be very difficult to treat.
This is him, Shaka, ringing the bell. I think that's when you actually beat it. But you know, when you got cancer, man. Yeah. There you go. That was. They do that in America. I don't know if they do it in the UK, but he's in America, of course. Working for ESPN.
Yeah.
Working for ESPN. So it looks like he's beating it. But obviously, when you get cancer, you know, it can always. Unfortunately, it's something that got you, so it can always come back. But the fact of the matter here is, you're a man. Don't be or think of, you know, less or scrutinize yourself to just trying to go get checked. I know there's a lot of joke. We men joke around all the time. Win like getting his prostate checked, but that's a personal choice. But that's good though. Go get it checked. Go get it checked, man.
I think I'm right in saying, aren't I, that you just get a blood test now for prostate cancer, because what Chris is referring to there, when Wynne used to demand these fortnightly prostate tests.
Oh,
Put the finger
when the glove
into the bottom, and have a good round up there. To, in the words of Billy Connolly, to check your prostate's donut shaped, and to check it's not going to turn into a bagel.
That's right.
And he ended up he ended up on a date with the doctor, so that actually worked out everyone for everybody. But no, get checked, man. Listen, we gotta go, but get checked. Don't be afraid. As he said, based on what he's learned, African descent.
You're better off knowing than not knowing.
It's higher.
Before you go,
but at the end of the day, everybody gets checked. Go ahead.
Before you go, to everyone out there today, I'm growing my mustache, and I'm not going to trim it down, and I'm going to have it curled up until I earn till I don't get enough donations for men's mental health. So if anyone wants to donate, please get in contact with us, and I'll send you the Just Giving page.
Yeah, we'll share the link is via community as well, via post.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So you can do that.
Yeah,
go on, mate. Sorry, Jamie.
I just said pop it in the group. Yeah. Although I would quite like to see him looking like a hussar with it.
Well,
there
actually,
you go.
To be honest with you, I'm going to India, aren't I? So I'll probably keep it going.
There you go.
Girl.
That's right. That's right. That's right, man.
He likes looking like a dick.
Okay, now. Most importantly, folks, get checked. Highway the lads will be back again tomorrow for the presser. The lads will be on for the presser at 9 in the morning, and then we'll do the Friday Neat show. Win, you better be there because we haven't done it in a long time. Friday Neat show, and we're gonna be partying. So put the money in the jukebox and send in your songs. And Saturday match day, right? Saturday, yeah, Saturday match day. So there you go. Join us then, folks. Thank you, Jefferson, Jamie, Mighty Win. I'm Ritz, the early night crew, as well as the super chatters, who were many of you. Warren, Tony, Boki, Jefferson, I think you did as well. Tony, Jody, Dan. I don't want to forget anybody. Anthony from New York. Everybody out there. Appreciate you very much indeed. We'll see you in the next one, folks. Bye.